Welcome to the Wilson Center. I'm Mark Green, President and CEO, and I'm really excited to welcome my former colleague, Representative Eddie Bernice Johnson, Chairwoman of the Committee on Science, Space, and Technology, to one of the most interesting events we've ever hosted at the Center. Called Esports and Education, How HBCUs Are Leveling the Field, this event is a showcase of the Ed Games Expo. The Expo is the Department of Education's annual public celebration of game-changing innovations in education technology. We are proud to showcase it and the Wilson Center's research on this topic, the only think tank in Washington with a serious games initiative. Right now, over 200 colleges and universities in the U.S. have an esports program, and more campuses every day are expanding their programming from extracurricular clubs to academic support of esports. Historically black colleges and universities are seizing this opportunity for innovation and new horizons in workforce development. They're building spaces on campus for esports, providing not only opportunities for students to play and build communities, but also to learn critical skills in STEM and beyond. Many thanks for this event go to the director of the Wilson Center's Serious Games Initiative, Dr. Elizabeth Newberry. She's not only our resident games expert, developing games on topics ranging from the federal budget to ocean plastics, but she's also passionately researching the global impact of esports and the way it is driving education. I'd like to thank the Department of Education for once again allowing the Wilson Center to host a showcase on this global issue, and I'd like to thank all of our speakers for being here. We appreciate also the technical expertise that Community, Microsoft, and the White House Initiative on HBCUs provided for this event. But most of all, I want to thank all of you for joining us here at the Wilson Center today. I hope you have fun.
Thank you all so much for your patience. It's my honor here to introduce Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson. Thank you so much.
Well, let me thank you very much for the invitation, and I'd like to thank Ambassador Green and the Wilson Center and all of the esteemed speakers for their efforts to create a more diverse and equitable science and technology sector in our nation. As chair of the Committee of Science, Space, and Technology, I am focused on ensuring that the U.S. is poised to lead the world in science and innovation. I apologize for my voice. I'm in Texas, where we've had rain for the last month, off and on, and my allergies are up. But I am committed to ensuring that we have a STEM workforce, that we need to address both outstanding and emerging societal challenges like social and economic equity, climate change, threats to our national security and our democracy. We only have to review where we are now to see the value of federal investment in research, and critically, the importance of having a STEM workforce ready to answer the call when disaster strikes. A major factor in developing a STEM workforce that can meet needs for the American people is ensuring that STEM workforce mirrors the diversity of American people. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, STEM occupants are projected to grow over 2 times faster than the total of all the occupations in the coming decade. That's why it's so critical that we put emphasis on diversity and equity and equal opportunity because the STEM workforce will hold us back in this nation if we are not ready. Businesses are struggling to find employees with STEM knowledge right now, and we're looking for the skills that they need. Some people will not return to jobs after this virus because of the advancement that's being made every day for the needs of the workforce and the readiness. The lack of diversity has also resulted in many technological innovations that have ignored the needs of marginalized communities. And artificial intelligence is coming into force. And so with these technological innovations that are coming about now, we know can harm our communities if we're not ready. So fortunately, the HBCUs are leading the charge in educating and training Black students in critically needed STEM skills. Though I'm not a graduate of HBCU, as long as I have been on this committee, I've worked very hard every chance I've had to give attention to the areas. Why? Because HBCUs make up only 3% of the nation's colleges and universities, but they graduate 32% of the African American students earning bachelor's degrees in the physical sciences, 29% in mathematics, and 27% in biological sciences. 1/3 of all Black students who have earned doctorate degrees have a bachelor's degree from an HBCU. So yes, it is very important that we look very strongly at enhancing our Black colleges, because we know that that's where our students really feel confident. HBCUs are paving the way for broadening participation in STEM and stand poised to play a major role in expanding opportunities for students through educational technologies and esports. Esports constitute a rapidly growing industry in science and technology sector, with revenues expected to grow to $1.1 billion in 2021. Well-designed esports programs at HBCUs can contribute to increasing the student recruitment and retention. They also can be leveraged to promote STEM learning and serve as a gateway to a career in coding, programming, and game design. In this community that I serve, the jobs that are available are overwhelmingly available in these areas, but routine past majors are having difficulty finding jobs. So I'm excited to hear more about today's speakers about the work that HBCUs are doing to build esports programs that will empower students to reach their full potential. We must join in making sure that our students are ready. The world is not going to come around us. We've got to lead it. And it's our responsibility to make sure that we stay on top of this. We didn't hear that much about a group of Black women that helped to make the first launch into space successful. We have not heard very much about it being a Black man that helped the light bulb burn after Edison came up with the light bulb and had to make it stay on. We have not heard very much about the 3 Black teenagers in Pennsylvania that brought forth the driverless car. We've got to acknowledge those contributions and add more to it. So thank you very much for what you're doing. And if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Well, thank you so much for that, Congresswoman. We really appreciate that. And I know that we likely have several questions coming out from the chat, and we can relay them to you after the event, if that's okay.
Thank you, that's fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Well, great. Now we're going to, after that wonderful introduction on the state of play with esports and the importance with integrating it with HBCUs, I'm going to provide a little bit of an overview here, if my system will allow. One moment, please. Great. So welcome again to the Wilson Center. My name is Elizabeth Newberry, and I'm the director of the Serious Games Initiative here at the Wilson Center. This event is part of the 2021 and 8th Annual Ed Games Expo, and one of the things I would encourage you is that if you are interested in taking this conversation beyond this event, to take it to the hashtag on Twitter. So again, just amplifying and engaging beyond this particular event. The Wilson Center is a think tank based in Washington, D.C., founded by Congress, so we're a federal instrumentality, that is a living memorial to President Wilson, the only president with a PhD. And one of the things that we do is we really amplify critical discourse to policy issues. So today we're talking about esports, but other issues that my program covers are issues around how do we engage beyond education? How do we get people into the conversation around political issues and discourse? So the ambassador mentioned the federal budget. We have a game about that. One of the more exciting topics from a DC perspective, maybe less so for the average person, but we've had 3 million people play our games, the Budget Hero and Fiscal Ship, which you can play now at fiscalship.org on the federal budget. And you too hopefully can steer us out of national debt. But today I'm here to talk about one of the other capacities that I am very passionate about here. And part of that is informed by my studies before coming to the Wilson Center. So directly before coming to the Wilson Center, I was a graduate student at Cornell University. And one of the things that I tackled through my PhD program is esports. Largely, one of the things I did was I had to explain to my advisors why people would watch other people playing video games on the internet. This is a little while ago. I didn't have the robust economics to back me up, but one of the things that I'm continually interested in is how people are engaging in this phenomenon known as esports. So I'm going to provide a little bit of an overview so we're all on the same page, at least roughly, of what esports is, and then talk a little bit more intimately about esports and education. Before I dive any further, though, I want to make sure to take this time to thank several of the people who were instrumental in getting this event off the ground. So first of all, I would like to thank the ambassador and the congresswoman for joining us here today and kicking off the conversation. I'd also like to thank my colleague at the Department of Education, Ed Metz, for orchestrating the entire Ed Games Expo, a week worth of games, education technology, and other wonderful products coming out of the federal government that support the broader educational technology and ecosystem. And I'd also like to thank, for her technical assistance, my colleague Sadika Franklin, who will be hearing on the first panel from the White House Initiative on HBCUs. And I'd also like to thank very, very deeply John Cash from Johnson C. Smith University, who was paramount to getting this program into the shape that it's in. A lot of the work and behind the scenes efforts, this event would not be what it is without his support. And speaking of behind the scenes efforts, I'd like to thank the team at Microsoft, Renata, Josh, and Maria, who are instrumental in getting this event into the format that we're talking about now, as well as the Minecraft initiative that we're going to be seeing later on. That all being said, thank you guys so much also for being here. I really appreciate your time. Now, let's talk a little bit about esports. First of all, what is esports? This is going to be a bit of a whirlwind, so if there's any questions afterwards, I'm always happy to engage and explain more deeply in the chat, for example, after this particular little address. But esports, most broadly speaking, is the competitive play of video games. It's not just sports video games, but it's taking any video game really and turning it into a sport. So turning it into a competition or something along those lines. You can see here a picture of an arena that was featured a major tournament, for example, where people are packing into what you might normally associate with the local basketball team or the like watching other people playing video games. It's also a global phenomenon, and we won't talk about that as much here at this particular event since we're talking about HBCUs, but it's something to bear in mind that this is not just happening in the United States, that it really is having a broad impact around the world. There's two characteristics that I want to emphasize also about esports. One, the competitions often manifest in the forms of tournaments. So there's a lot of emphasis in esports on playing to tournaments, so playing against other people for pots of money and that sort of thing. And the other thing is that esports often happens very much on live streams. So during the pandemic, esports has actually flourished where other sports may not have done as well this particular past year. And part of that is because it's the way it's consumed. It's consumed through live streaming. So you'll hear a lot about Twitch and those sorts of platforms for esports. But beyond the tournament and the ways that people consume them, one of the things that makes esports unique is also the professionalization of esports. And there's a lot of emphasis on the professionalization of the play experience itself. So people who are paid or practice and work on teams to compete against each other across video games. And the other thing that I mentioned earlier is that one of the things that these players are competing for is often prize pools, but sometimes they also have salaries and that sort of thing, and that's a growing event. But in any case, you can hear both players at a tournament itself as well as ones that are winning a prize pool. But I like to take the lens a little bit farther away from the professional players and look at other things that make it a unique and interesting component. So here you can see a screenshot of a Twitch stream. And one of the things that we see here is that there's a professionalization of casters and reporters and the broadcast itself that really makes esports what it is. So it looks very on the surface like something you would see on ESPN. The other thing that makes it really interesting is the burgeoning economics that support esports. So in 2020, according to a Forbes report, the esport market estimates were around 495 million. As the Congresswoman pointed out, that's going to explode very likely in the next couple of years. The other thing that I'd like to emphasize here is the 3.1 billion hours that are spent watching esports. So 214 million revenue, 495 million people watching it. And they're all spending about 20 hours a week watching esports, at least that's the average. So it's a very growing industry. There's also an growing engagement across government in esports. And here I've pointed out some of the military engagement in the space. Some are using it as a recruitment tool, and others are investing in programs at college campuses that really are supporting the STEM pipeline. So here you see a clip of Hampton University received a grant from the DoD to help create an esports space and an esports ecosystem on campus. Esports is largely not going away. It's about technological innovations there are lots of technological innovations that over the next couple of years are going to probably see extensive growth. So for example, we hear a lot of conversations around the expansion of broadband and 5G within the United States. And these are going to have direct impacts on the industry, not only improving the play experience, so lower latencies and that sort of thing, but also potentially broadening the platforms that are available to play. So for example, VR, AR, mobile gaming, those might be more possible in the future. Despite this growth, one of the things though I'd like to emphasize is that it's also still a very much emerging field, and how to do esports is very much in flux. One of the things that I would point to is that there's a lot of ambiguity about what games are considered an esport. So is it just the top 4 titles on Twitch, or is it a more expansive definition? And what we're seeing from a lot of educational spaces is that expansive definition can bring in a lot of really unique audiences. So if you have an esports program that's not just League of Legends or CSGO, but maybe Just Dance is part of it, builds a more inclusive atmosphere there. Speaking of esports and education, one of the things that we often ask ourselves is, what is the current state of play in education? And I like to think of this in two discrete categories. One is the play component. So how are students orienting towards campuses here? And then the academic component. So how are colleges and universities building programs around esports that are really trying to facilitate educational outcomes? For the play experience, we often see play enacted on college campuses through club esports, varsity esports, and league play, which I'll talk about a little bit more in a second. But then we're also seeing on the other side of it more formalization of academic programs. So how can students engage in the business of esports? How can we increase STEM products around esports? So esports, being a computer-based technology product, is very much lends itself to STEM, and a couple of our panelists will talk a little bit more about that. But there are also growing academic concerns around esports and programs that are trying to negotiate those concerns. So, for example, we have esports and law, which a couple of my colleagues work over there at George Washington University on that issue. And there's also esports health, so creating programs around physical health that might support esports. There's a little bit more about that on the Wilson Center's website, which I'll link to in a second. But one of the things that we see here is also a rise in collegiate leagues. There are a growing number of organized leagues in esports, and here I've come up with a sample of the different types of leagues. One is the leagues that are formed from the individual developers. So Blizzard, for example, has a league called TESPA that engages around 40,000 students. And then there's also leagues that are coming more out of traditional sports leagues, so divisions of or parts of traditional sports leagues in colleges. Really, to understand how to do esports, though, one of the things I would say is you have to look at where esports is happening on campus. So there's spaces for play that are not professional in the esports broader world. Here's two examples from my 2015 field site observations. One is more of a LAN center, which has games set up, and then the other is more of an informal pack and play where people bring the equipment necessary to an actual physical building. We're seeing more of the former in college spaces where colleges are building what they're calling arenas to facilitate esports. The benefit that a lot of colleges are hooking onto here with the arenas is really trying to make sure that these are spaces that are dual use. So they're not just for the play of esports, but they're also supporting academic issues. So for example, there are very expensive computers in a lot of these esports arenas, and using those computers not just for the esports play, but also for classes and that sort of thing could really benefit from high-grade computers. It would be a minor disjustice, though, to say that this is all golden opportunities on campuses, particularly when it comes to the play of esports. We're seeing some concerns growing around the inclusivity of esports. This is a self-perpetuating cycle where we design esports programs or we design video games that are for particular audiences. So, for example, there's a lot of research that looks at the gender inclusivity of video games. We're seeing this spill over into esports, where there's a lack of gender diversity when it comes to scholarships for playing rosters. A recent AP study, for example, pointed out that there were nearly 90% of esports scholarships going to men in one particular league. This is also very true for other forms of diversity and inclusion. There's a lot of interest in trying to look at those. And one of the things I would challenge us to consider as we go through this program today is how do we make esports more inclusive? There's a lot of siloing effects with particular game genres and particular gaming communities. And thinking beyond what we have currently will really, I think, help us build more inclusivity in esports. How do we expand the titles that are available? How do we expand the conversations, the ways that we're doing esports? Within the HBCU context, 67 out of 107 HBCUs have esports programs. This was a quick sample that we did at the Wilson Center of publicly available information on esports at HBCUs. So if you are here and you run an esports program at an HBCU or are interested, one of the things that we're offering after this particular panel is a write-up and report on the state of play for HBCUs and esports as a way to better understand the broader landscape of esports integrating with education. Now, I mentioned before that there's play and then there's academic integration of esports on educational campuses. And one of the interesting things about HBCUs is that they're also embracing this idea of pipeline support. So it's not just restricted to how do I get academic engagement on my campus, but it's also how do I engage the broader community of play and younger students in esports and through esports to try to facilitate that pipeline. And hopefully we'll hear a little bit more about that again from our experts and leaders in this space. So just as a quick mapping of today, we're going to have 2 panels and 2 play sessions. The first panel is going to be looking at how different universities are orienting towards esports and how they're building programs on campus. The second one is going to be more about how this is integrating specifically with academic success on campus. And then one of the things I wanted to do was not just tell you what esports is, but also we wanted to show you what esports is. So we have 2 different play sessions, one presented by Microsoft and one presented by community, that will also walk you through and show you actual play of esports, because it's one thing for me to describe and show you pictures, it's a completely other thing to actually see it in action, as it were. One of the things I would encourage you to do is that after today, to keep the conversation going, there will be video available after this event, and then the Wilson Center will also again be writing up a report that we'll send out to everyone who RSVP'd. And one of the things that we're going to be looking for is major themes across these different panels, but also ways that we can help amplify and understand research directions for esports. I'd like to thank you again for being here. Thank you so much to our amazing panelists, and I can't wait to get started. Great. So thank you so much for joining us for the next panel. This is no one way to build esports programs on HBCU campuses. I'm joined here by Dr. Kevin James, Dr. Laura Coulson, Julian Waddell, and Sedeka Franklin. And we're going to do first, we're going to have a little bit of a round robin of everyone going around and talking a little bit about what esports programs or their orientation towards esports and their professional capacity. And then we're going to open it up to a moderated discussion and then broader discussions from the chat. One of the things I would encourage you to do is to make sure that you are commenting in the chat as we go through. So just making sure that you are, as we go, we will be able to make it an organic conversation. Thank you so much. And without further ado, we're going to start with Dr. Kevin James.
Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you all so much for inviting me today. I'm very honored to be here. My name is Kevin James. I am the 19th president of Morris Brown College located in Atlanta, Georgia. Morris Brown College is a historical Black college that was founded in 1881 here in Atlanta. What makes Morris Brown College very unique is that we're the only historically Black college, or any college, in the entire state of Georgia that actually was founded by Black people. The only institution. We were founded in 1881 by the African Methodist Episcopal Church, which was the largest church denomination at that time. A lot of you all may have heard of Morris Brown, as we were the featured band in the movie Drumline, $100 million movie, $100 million. And just coincidentally, after that movie aired back in 2002, about 6 months after that, we lost our accreditation. And a lot of people thought that our institution had closed almost 20 years ago. Well, I'm very excited to say under this administration that we have brought Morris Brown College back to her full fruition, her full glory, and we just received our accreditation candidacy. We're right now in the process of applying for federal financial aid, so all of our students can have federal financial aid funding once again in student loans. And so we're so excited to be here, still standing in Atlanta, Georgia. We call it the hard reset. We've gone through and reset everything regarding our academics, our campus life, our facilities, our programming, so on and so forth. As we were going through our hard reset while we were working on our accreditation, we were looking at some very innovative academic programs so we could be very competitive once we got our accreditation back. And so Atlanta, Georgia is one of the top esports and gaming cities in the entire country. And so, you know what? We wanted to be very innovative and unique. And so we created Georgia's first esports performance degree program. We have 2 tracks. We have a certificate track, which is 8 courses, 24 hours that anybody can come to. But we've also opened it up for high school juniors and seniors. So by the time they graduate from high school, they will have a 24-hour certificate in esports performance. Additionally, we also have a bachelor's degree track in global business management and applied leadership with a concentration in esports performance. One of the only HBCUs in the country that actually has a degree format or degree option for a degree in esports. And so both of these programs have been approved both by the state, the Georgia Non-Public Post-Secondary Education Commission here in the state of Georgia, as well as our accreditor, the Transnational Association of Christian Colleges and Schools. And so Morris Brown is back in full effect right here in downtown Atlanta with both a degree option in esports performance as well as a certification in esports performance. Anyone who's interested in our programming, go to our website, morrisbrown.edu. And we look forward to welcoming each and everybody who's interested in attending Morris Brown College here in Atlanta. And again, our website is morrisbrown.edu, and I welcome any questions when the time comes. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. James. And now I'm going to pass the mic over to Dr. Laura Coulson, who was instrumental in booting up her esports program.
Good afternoon, all. I am Laura Coulson, Currently, I serve as Associate Vice President for Academic Affairs at Johnson C. Smith University. Today, I actually sit in the place of my future president, Suzanne Walsh, for Bennett College, where I will serve as the Vice President for Academic Affairs. Bennett College, of course, founded in 1873 as a co-ed institution that many people may not realize, eventually transitioned to an all-women's college in 1926. As I work to join Bennett College, we will be looking at esports in a different capacity than that what President James just spoke about. We will be looking at esports as an interdisciplinary offering. When you think about esports, people tend to just think about the gaming, the aspect, the management of it, but there is so much more that is involved. And as a liberal arts institution focused on women, we have one charge, one of our strategic directions that we're looking at, and that deals with being a new frontier for social justice, civil rights, and technology. And so part of our emphasis will be on focusing on that social justice as well as technology when it comes to esports. When we think about esports, sometimes women are not highlighted in the best manner. So we'll be looking at things such as that and how can we make an impact and make gaming more of an interest where women have the equal playing field and feel comfortable with gaming and building, etc. So we look at esports as a way that we can truly incorporate liberal arts from all different majors to create these gaming opportunities for not only students, but for the world.
Thank you so much for that. And now I'm gonna pivot over to Julian Waddell.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm Julian Waddell. I'm from Oakwood University. I'm a professor of management information systems as well as entrepreneurship. I'm also the executive director of OU Launchpad, our entrepreneurship center. And one of the things that I want to touch on a little bit in regards to why we brought esports into Oakwood University comes prior to me becoming a professor. So prior to that, I was the Chief Information Security Officer of Oakwood University. And in that role, my team analyzed and reported on traffic use on our network. One of the things that we already knew to be true was that most of the prominent use of our network resources on our campus was online gaming. So when I transitioned to being a professor, I integrated gamification into our curriculum, and it really improved engagement. So when we launched our university's entrepreneurship center, it was a no-brainer to integrate esports and gamification as a gateway to the exploration of entrepreneurship. So that's been our major push. And one of the things that we wanted to make sure that we did within our entrepreneurship center is allow our students to be able to have the full support of everything that would be needed within the business side of esports. Such as you can probably see in our background, the space that I'm in is specifically for our students to come in and be able to have the support to be able to stream. So we made sure that a lot of the things that we implemented was something that would make the transition of seeing esports as a viable career pathway for micro entrepreneurs within our university.
Thank you. I'm smiling a little bit because I had a similar experience when I was an undergrad with a very interesting conversation with my IT lead of, could you please expand the bandwidth to my dorm so that I could play World of Warcraft? It was for research, so it was fine, right? Yeah, sorry.
I was going to say, if it comes back around, I have a story. I also went to Oakwood as a student, and I have an actual interesting story about myself and a couple of my friends playing Command & Conquer, and one of the things that we had to do during that time frame.
I'm really excited for that preview to dive a little bit more deeply there. But I do want to give also Sedeka Franklin from the White House Initiative on HBCUs to also introduce herself.
Thanks, Liz, and good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. And Liz, it's been an absolute delight to work with you over the past few months to bring us to today. Again, my name is Sedeca Franklin. I'm Associate Director with the White House Initiative on HBCUs. A little bit of background about the initiative. We were the first of its kind established by President Carter about 40 years ago in 1980. The initiative's primary role is to serve as a federal advocate or a partnership broker to create mutually beneficial opportunities to advance education, research, and outreach opportunities for faculty and staff. At the initiative, it's really my job to elevate the public awareness of all 102 HBCUs by engaging industry in a national dialogue about HBCU partnerships, programs, and initiatives. We aren't really a grant-making office. We really strive to be change makers. Though we collaborate with 32 federal agencies, both cabinet and independent, we also strive to connect with various industry partners. Liz, you were just talking about Warcraft. I have to admit, I am not a gamer at all. I think the last game that I mastered was Super Mario Brothers. But certainly when the initiative heard rumblings about esports and gaming, we really wanted to get involved. We started connecting with industry and academia partners to learn more. We sought out opportunities to develop an understanding of esports industry and really strive to align interests to expand access and opportunity for HBCU students and faculty. 2019, the initiative collaborated with those same industry and academia partners to offer an esports and data analytics track at our annual National HBCU Week conference. It was the first time that we really explored this lucrative ecosystem of esports and identified opportunities for institutions to consider. A number of HBCUs have positioned themselves since that 2019 offering to become really global leaders in developing esports and certainly the esports talent pipeline. And we're continuing to seek ways to keep the community informed on how the federal government and private industry establish agreements to provide technical assistance and other training to bring us along. So again, thank you for having me today. I'm glad to be here, and I am super excited to hear from the rest of the panelists.
Thank you so much to everyone for being here. I really wish we had hours and hours to pick through all of your great expertise in this area. To kick it off a little bit, I wanted to ask you all, what are some of the impacts that you are seeing with students? Julian, I'm thinking of the story that you were telling of you noticed that students were playing games and you were trying to meet that need. And then another thing that was mentioned by Dr. James is that we're seeing a growing number of students beyond the campuses who are also wanting to engage in esports and trying to capture that interest. But there's a nuance between capturing interest and what are the impacts that we're seeing on those students once we've got them into an esports program.
Well, I guess I'll jump in first. I have the belief that you go to where students are. Higher education as a whole is changing the entire landscape. And COVID just pushed us in the deep end of the pool with changing how we operate and who we're working with and how we work with them. And so one thing that we have found is students are gaming. Someone just mentioned Super Mario Brothers, right? I'm not going to mention Mike Tyson's Punch Out or Contra or any of those old school games that these students nowadays have no clue what I'm talking about. But nevertheless, they're gaming. And so when you talk about a higher education, when you talk about a career opportunity, when you talk about what do you want to do once you graduate high school, let's take something to them that they already are doing and love and turn it into a career. The difference between a job and a career is, would you do it for free, right? And some of these students, they would absolutely game and or lead gaming or work in that field for free. And so why not educate them and give them the tools to, yeah, it's gaming today, but what about business? What about entrepreneurship? What about desk hosting? What about being an entrepreneur leading a tournament or it's a $1 billion industry. Why not do something that you're already doing for free? And so that is one of the reasons why Morris Brown wanted to jump in to the esports arena, not to mention that Atlanta is a top city for esports. So many different companies coming to town. There's already so many companies here in town, and they're looking for talent. We want to be that diverse pipeline that is going to educate these students to be that talent that they need. And so that is my synopsis on esports, why we got involved. And, so many organizations now looking into funding opportunities to create these diverse pipelines. What better way than to just offer the degree program and or certification to do it? And so that is just my 2 cents on that.
And as Kevin has, I'm sorry, Julie.
No, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, as Kevin has stated, we have to meet students where they are. And esports is truly an experiential learning opportunity for our students. When you think about it, as I was saying earlier, we are a liberal arts university. And what we want to do is challenge our students to look at being problem solvers, but not just problem solvers from being the ones that are gaming and trying to win the tournaments, but also problem solvers on how do we create these opportunities through esports and incorporate theater? How do we incorporate the music and the score that goes through it? The adventure through the English majors and things of that nature. As Kevin spoke to, the management of gaming and tournaments and programs, you have to have those intricate pieces for things like this to pan out. So it's truly an interdisciplinary studies, experiential learning opportunity for students. This gives those students who may have not thought about going to college an opportunity to realize I'm good at gaming. A teacher may have told me I'm not good at mathematics, but I am good at mathematics if I'm gaming because it's strategy to it. And so this is how we tempt students to realize you have something in you. Sometimes someone will see something in you that you don't see in yourself. And through gaming, that allows us to tap into a student's passion and purpose, and they can find their niche so that they can become entrepreneurs and even tournament winners and make it lucrative for themselves.
Both of you all has hit the nail on the head. So when I think about just the impact in general from our perspective, so esports has been housed, like I mentioned before, within our entrepreneurship center. And when you mentioned the experiential learning aspect of it, that's one of the things that we've been integral into pushing at our entrepreneurship center. So I see it along the line of helping them when it comes to problem solving and being analytical, not only when it comes to schoolwork, but when it comes to startup development. It's like I look at it just like you mentioned with all the aspects that you see within a game. I've seen it, especially during this pandemic, where they're the ones that are setting up the tournament. They're the ones that are basically training people. They're basically creating industries within the university, scaling them and basically turning them into viable businesses. We started our entrepreneurship center this year. We recently have had a launch, and we've done the full ribbon cutting and everything. And one of the things that we did before we even was pushing entrepreneurship and esports, that connection, we were thinking about focusing on the micro entrepreneur. The micro entrepreneur is the entrepreneur that has less than 5 employees. So our biggest thing was, okay, how can we focus on that, and how can we focus on the ideation phase? So when students became involved, they began creating these businesses, not even realizing that they were businesses, and then tailoring it to other interested parties through the clubs that they were creating. And so the impact that I've seen is that it's given them a mentality that I can do this as a career, or I can do this as something that helps me grow when it comes to my academics. Because one of the things that you've seen that has impacted all of our schools is our students' mental health. And I've seen esports act in a way that they've not only used it as an outlet, but it allowed them to overcome a lot of the obstacles that they've encountered within this year with all the things that have been happening with this pandemic and being able to master those things.
Good.
Oh, Julian, you you out there? I hear you. I hear you.
He
The
went Dr.
students
Phil on us.
really, I felt that. That was powerful. The students that we hear from in our focus groups, especially our HBCU scholars, they tell us all the time, you got to think outside the box. And not for nothing, esports is thinking outside the box. How can you educate folks while gaming and doing these things? So simply put, I think that it's allowing students to really see themselves in a career field that they find to be fun. Something that they're doing that's just for fun can actually translate into a career during college and post-matriculation. So those are the impacts that I see. You know, it's not just a job, it's my career. It's what I want to do for life, and I enjoy doing it.
May I add one more thing, if you all don't mind?
Go ahead.
Okay. One thing I want to speak on. So we recently created a partnership with Unity, which is a game developer. So there's Unity and there's Unreal Engine, and these are the different game engines. And one of the things that I've noticed, especially in connecting it with esports, is when the conversation first started was, how do you integrate that with STEM? And I'm thinking along the line of STEAM because I'm including art in that. And being able to be an authorized training partner for Unity allowed them to have an additional pathway that they can complement as a co-curricular method that goes along with whatever major they decide to go down. And so I've seen students come in and they could be a biology major, a biochem, or it doesn't matter what the major is, and they see the route of getting a certification in game development. And it's not necessarily game development, it's what they can do with it. They can model stuff. So I mentioned biochemistry. They've been able to go along the line of saying, hey, can I use this game engine to model how a chemical reaction may be, and actually see it visually and basically deal with virtual reality? That came from even going the route of participating in esports, to see that as a potential avenue to want to learn, get a certification, and going further. So I just wanted to mention that.
That was great. I have one more question prepared for the panel, and then I'd just like to encourage people to ask questions in the chat so that we can direct them. We are going to stop shortly, so we may only be able to answer one or two more questions unless we start speed firing them, but I don't want to truncate anybody's responses. One of the things that I know a lot of educators are concerned about is, how do they get esports onto campus? And especially the three of you from universities, there's a lot of different ways that you've oriented towards esports on your campus. I would like to just probe a little bit more deeply into, why did you shape the esports program in the way that you did? What choices and what informed those decisions? And also, if there's any advice for someone who's trying to boot up an esports program, what might you offer those folks?
Well, I served as dean at my current institution, and as I was serving as dean, we had sport management up under my leadership. And with sport management, we saw more and more students, of course, gaming, and they were gaming through our student leadership and engagement lens. But then our faculty said, you know what, this is something that we need to tap into and work to create a minor. And so at Johnson C. Smith University, we actually created a trifecta where we have the minor, we have the club, and we actually have an esports lab. That has drawn so much attention. It has brought students out of their cocoon. And so when it comes to education, I don't even consider a box anymore. You just have to think holistically, think unconventionally, but also look at what is trending in society and not just necessarily education, to see how you can open up avenues at an institution. But you also have to have those leaders who are okay with zigging when others are zagging, who are okay with we don't have to conform to what everyone else is doing, but we want to look at students and their interests and how we can tap into that and create an environment where they can be who they are and grow and develop into those areas of interest that may not be the quote unquote norm. And so I think that's one way that we have spearheaded it currently at Johnson C. Smith University. And through Suzanne Walsh's leadership at Bennett, they are definitely moving to the beat of their own drum with her story, not history, but we're telling a story of women and how women are taking the lead. And with this esports thing on that campus, as I stated already, we're going to look at esports at how can we change how women are viewed as well as quote unquote used literally and figuratively when it comes to gaming.
Here in Atlanta, again, I mentioned that the industry is huge here. And so for us, there were no colleges here that had the degree program. Now, there are a few schools that have gaming, but no one had a particular focus on esports, specifically esports performance. And so that is what drove us to start the degree program here in Georgia. And quite frankly, it was not easy. It wasn't easy when we went to the state because there were no other schools with the program. And so they were like, how do we evaluate this? How do we vet this? And so we had to bring in experts outside of the state to evaluate our program as we wrote our curriculum, as we, vetted faculty, everything that we're doing here in Atlanta. And just coincidentally, we were already working on our accreditation anyway. So it was like a one size fit all. We could do it all at one time simultaneously. So it worked out very, very good for us here at Morris Brown. Again, I just want to mention to anybody who's watching this, go to our website and take a look at our program, morrisbrown.edu. And for us, it was based off of, need. We're going to need leaders. We're going to need individuals to work at these different organizations. We're going to need diversity. We're going to need women. We're going to need just every piece of the rainbow when it comes to finding folks and developing that pipeline to work in this industry. One last thing, I'm sorry, not to mention Morris Brown, we're right now at this very moment building our Esports Lab, which is going to consist of all the gaming, the consoles, the computers, everything here on our campus. We're going to have a 20 to 25 seat arena here where students are going to get the hands-on learning that they need to be able to go out there and compete.
On my end, I have to commend both of you all on what you all have done in regards to esports in your universities. I just think that is just fantastic. On our end, one of the things that I have encountered, and I've seen and we've seen as a university is basically trying to, I would say, position our esports program with one of our majors. And so that was one of our biggest barriers initially when we first started. And it wasn't until we decided to associate it with our entrepreneurship center and as co-curricular activities that we started to see our particular pathway. And so how we focused on directing toward the development of an esports program was starting with having our Unity authorized training partnership. And we felt that by going that route, creating certifications, going with that, we would be able to then say, if students are interested in learning this platform, then they can go from that and utilize that from an entrepreneurial standpoint. And the reason why that's so important is because they're not just getting certifications, which will allow them to get jobs. They're becoming Unity certified instructors. So that opens a pathway for them to be able to have some type of entrepreneurial venture that they can do while they're developing into the person that they're trying to be with their career. It doesn't matter which degree they're in, they're able to say, I can have the certification, which can allow me to bring in streams of income that would help me grow. And then when you accompany that with being a part of esports or participating in different competitions and things of that nature, it allows you to see the full spectrum of all the aspects of not only game development, game design, but participating in tournament and sports management. So I think that it allows for multiple avenues to be explored.
So I'd like to take this opportunity to turn it to some of the questions that we're getting from the chat. One of the things, if we don't get to your question, please feel free to engage with us beyond this particular panel. All of our speakers are linked on our tweets that are coming out, for example, and you are also welcome to email me at elizabeth.newberry@wilsoncenter.org, and we can see if we can get an answer to your question. But one of the first questions that we had come in was specifically about esports qualifications and developing esports programs. And the question is, how can we audit esports qualification gatekeeping to ensure, I'm thinking to address the lack of gender, race, age, and class discrimination that we're seeing across esports platforms. So I think it's a broader question of how both at HBCUs, but also maybe beyond HBCUs, how can we be thinking about when we're structuring these programs to support diversity and inclusion in those spaces?
Well, my mind goes to online learning immediately. While launching online degree programs, many courses are analyzed using Quality Matters. And so there may be some standards that need to be developed or continue to be developed to ensure that as programs are being developed, we are looking at quality matters and equity and diversity and inclusion. This is something that's just is always ongoing. I mean, we see what's going on in society now, which is truly causing people to rethink everything that they're doing in life to ensure social justice and equity for everyone. So I just think there needs to be even more quality matters assurance when it comes to these types of things.
I would just piggyback on that and say, when you talk about diversity, you have to be very intentional.
I think, at least on my screen, he's frozen. So if Sedeka or Julian, if you had something momentarily, and I'll message him directly to let him know that he's a little frozen on our end.
I actually got what I was thinking specifically was that to be able to address a lot of the obstacles that, you know what, before I go any further, because I don't want to just fill around, can you tell me the question again, please?
Yeah, I'm happy to repeat the question. So the question was, how can we audit esports qualification gatekeeping to ensure to promote diversity and inclusion?
Okay. So, like you were saying, I would also piggyback off what Laura was saying in regards to the same methodology that you would implement in regards to your academics, as well as going into the other avenues of sports and that you already have within your university. You would basically try to implement a similar type of inclusion method that basically enables people to be able to participate equally.
Great. I think Kevin is just about to join us again. So sorry you cut out, Kevin. Are you with us again?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't even know where I was, but technology, gotta love it, right? That's why we're educating our future leaders to handle all of this. I believe my final comment was just, we have to be very intentional when it comes to diversity and inclusion, and when you look at esports, we just have to be just as intentional as with everything else.
Yeah.
And Liz, I really echo the sentiment that Julian mentioned. You know, you shouldn't single out esports any differently than you do any other program that you offer within your institution. Though the industry is growing, there are folks that are known as kind of the experts, and I would lean to them to identify what's most appropriate in terms of programming and curriculum. And I kind of, make a note to say, me from the White House Initiative, we are not weighing in on curriculum. We are not weighing in on program development. But certainly I would think that it would be appropriate to include it in the same fashion that you do any other program.
I just have one more thing to add. I think of gaming as the great equalizer. It's different in the sense of like when you're playing a sport, like each of the schools may have a basketball team, for instance. With esports, it doesn't have to be separated based on gender or anything like that. Anyone can play. Everyone is on the same playing field. It's the great equalizer. So I feel that it is prime for inclusion, prime for diversity and being able to work together.
Yeah, and I think on that note, one thing to bear in mind is that although games are inclusive spaces and anyone could play a game, we have to also be sensitive to the communities of play that might create barriers to participation, which I think is exactly what you all are pointing to here. So this will be the last question that we can entertain, and then unfortunately we have to get off to the NBA 2K play session. But there was a really good question about the programs and developing sort of that community connection. Is there any way, I know that this is something that we're thinking about of like transferable skills with students and also these programs having a broader impact. So I would just like to give you guys the opportunity to talk about some of those ways that beyond the esports programs themselves, you're seeing students develop skills or engage in the broader community of play from the catalyst of the esports programs.
Well, I'll say for us, as we were developing our program, we did some very deep digging to see what other transferable skills or what other, I guess, skills you needed to have in this kind of how we framed our degree program. So at Morris Brown College, we really dig deep into social media management. We dig really deep into television and film, right? These are other skills outside of just the gaming component. Of course, our degree is under the umbrella of our business department. So we combined it with our global business and applied leadership degree program to get those business skills that you're going to need as an entrepreneur, as a business person, as a someone who just wants to work in the industry. So we wanted to make sure that those skills are there. And not to mention, again, desk hosting, esports coaching, the gaming component, the business component, the entrepreneurial component. So all of those components, I believe, is just bridges from esports to these other fields of endeavor as well. And individuals who come to Morris Brown to get the certificate, even if they decide not to go into the business department to finish a degree, those courses could transfer into any other field of endeavor now that we got the accreditation candidacy. So I believe that when we developed our program, we looked at all the different fields or skill sets that you're going to need to be able to go out and compete and get jobs. At the end of the day, our degree is going to prepare students to go out and compete and to be able to get a very good paying job.
Similarly, as Kevin James has spoken to, at Johnson C. Smith University, we strategically aligned it under sport management. We've been working with students for a number of years on managing sports, and what better way for us to provide them experiential learning opportunity through esports. And so as Kevin has spoken to, those business management skills, those leadership skills, many of the soft skills, and students are able to tap into seeing their areas of strengths, and we use those for them to grow. And so again, as I've spoken, as we move forward at Bennett College, we'll be looking at it in an interdisciplinary aspect, where students will be able to see through the arts, through journalism, through communication, through English, what esports can do for them and for others.
And going and exploring interdisciplinary, having an interdisciplinary focus, that's one of the things that Oakwood is also doing in regards to how we strategically positioned esports, as well as training that went along with entrepreneurship. And the reason why it's important to mention that transition, one of the things that we focused on when we first started was researching the area in Huntsville, Alabama. A lot of the things which you'll notice in Huntsville is a military government city. You'll see one of the largest research parks there. And one of the things that you'll see is that a lot of these government contractors, if you look at their jobs that they're posting, one of the things that I saw consistently, and you can look it up for yourself, you'll see that one of the requirements for some of the jobs has a lot to do with game engines, such as Unity and Unreal Engine. And so in applying that type of knowledge into what a student can get out of esports and getting these certifications in Unity or Unreal Engine, it allows them to be able to explore different avenues, because these jobs weren't just technical jobs or engineering or manufacturing. These jobs also included the medical field or research or art or film. And all of those things within the game engines, when you research these different game engines, you'll see that those game engines were applicable to all of these particular industries. So we wanted to be able to make sure that when the students came in, they saw that they were interested in esports and gaming, and then they saw a pathway that not only involved the competitive nature of participating in this, but being able to develop a skill that allowed them to get a job that there were current job postings for.
And I'll just echo that and say access, diversity, and opportunity have really been the hallmark for HBCU success. And, you know, we've been curating these entrepreneurs and medical professionals, teachers, actors, and now even the Vice President of the United States. So I really encourage industry partners to work with our institutions. There are 102. There aren't just the 5 that everybody, you know, kind of frequents to assist with getting esports on campus. You know, the industry is the cohort that is fluent in the language of esports. And so team with HBCUs to establish and outline collaborative agreements, bringing software partnerships, service partnerships, facilities, infrastructure, and assist with the technical assistance and training that's needed to keep our faculty informed and up to date, and making sure that we are teaching the students the skills that they need in order to translate that into the jobs of the future.
Well, great. Unfortunately, that is all we have time for. I will, however, shamelessly plug Sedeca's fall conference for the HBCUs that happens every year. And if you would like to continue the conversation beyond today, that would be a golden opportunity to engage with HBCUs in esports. Next up, we're going to be seeing some NBA 2K league play that happened during the pandemic. One of the great things about esports is that it can be done virtually quite easily. So we'll be seeing how that was done with Community's presentation next. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, this is Ryan Johnson, the founder and executive director of Community. Community is the leading esports career and video game pipeline program in North America for students of color. We got started because we recognized there was a huge disparity in the video game space through doing some research with one of our affiliates, the International Game Developers Association. What we found is that nearly 83% of African American millennials play video games on a weekly basis, but only 2% work within the industry on a full-time basis. So what we decided to do is create an organization that exposed students in underserved K-12 institutions and also at HBCUs to the career opportunities that exist within the gaming space. One of our flagship programs is our Esports Career Readiness program. This program exists in 3 different forms: a 9-week, a 12-week, and a 9-month platform that allows students to be exposed to skills that they should be learning in order to pursue a career within the gaming industry. We broke our program down into 4 career tracks. The first one being information technology, second, STEM and STEAM learning, third is live event production and event management, and fourth is business management and marketing / entrepreneurship. And through those tracks, we actually align with industry professionals from leading companies that a lot of our students are already interested in looking up to. And we invite those professionals on a weekly cadence to then connect directly with students that would like to learn about how to land a job or an internship or develop skills that lead to those two within this space. So our career readiness program is supported right now primarily through 6 schools that we work with here in the Metro Atlanta in Charlotte, North Carolina area. And it's something that we're looking to continuously grow. It costs nothing to parents, it costs nothing to students. It is our way of giving back and exposing these students to ways that they could be learning, studying, and participating within the video game industry. So as much as we focus on the students and the teachers, we also focus on parents and make sure that they understand, because especially in the Black household, if we're teaching parents how to now ask their children questions, we're even strengthening that internal family bond, so where it becomes a point of contention to a point of conversation and actually belonging. As we were entering into our first major event last year, right at the peak of COVID on May 2nd and May 3rd, we launched a program called Tech for COVID. Tech for COVID, if you think in a traditional sense, was like a phone-a-thon, except we did it on a platform called Twitch, so we called it a stream-a-thon. During that 2-day period, we did a 20-hour live stream broadcast that was to raise money and awareness for students who did not have access to laptops or Wi-Fi to participate in distance learning and close out their school year. But we did this in partnership with some amazing companies like the United Way and Intel, where they actually helped contribute and raise extreme dollars, where we nearly hit $118,000 raised in that 20-hour period. And we were able to reach such wide audiences because of our celebrity supporters, from Michael Strahan, who's a Texas Southern graduate.
Hello, I am Michael Strahan, a proud HBC alum of Texas Southern University. I'm a proud HBCUer, and I am so honored to be a part of Tech for COVID.
To Jeezy, to Kenny Burns, and one of my personal favorite, Offset from the Migos. And by being able to combine the leverage of a very sincere cause with major internationally known influencers, we drew in an audience of nearly 250,000 people that helped contribute to that $118,000 that then we were able to use to buy devices for our partner schools and help several of our students continue and close out their school years by providing them with a laptop and/or Wi-Fi connectivity to participate within distance learning. One of the main questions that we usually get is, why do we use X instead of O? And that's really just around the stat that I just shared. When you look across the ecosystem, gaming competitively in STEM careers are driven around computers. But what about the consoles that are so prevalent in minority communities and minority households? X is the only button that's located across a Nintendo, a PlayStation, an Xbox, and then of course a keyboard. So our entire purpose was to highlight and raise awareness to all people that participate and want to have some level of equity and ownership in this space. What we do is partner with industry-leading companies like Microsoft, Verizon, and Comcast, And we build out competitive esports leagues and also career exposure programs for minority students that are interested in learning about careers within the gaming industry. And then we encourage them to pursue those careers through a series of scholarships, internships, and then full-time job placements. Shortly after we finished Tech for COVID, we had the idea to create a competitive platform for HBCU students, and the idea of HBCU Esports League came to life. HBCU Esports League serves as a platform for students that take gaming very seriously to compete on behalf of their college and/or university against other HBCUs in gaming titles like NBA 2K, Fortnite, and Madden. In our first year, we were really fortunate to have partnerships with Twitch and Verizon, and we just finished our first season on April the 28th, and we had a grand total of nearly 14 million people that tuned in during our year one. And our plans are to double our corporate partners and double viewership as we enter into season 2 this upcoming fall. HBCU Esports also served as a destination for corporate partners to provide internships for students that took gaming and STEM careers very seriously. And through that platform, we've secured 15 internships for students throughout our first season that will be working this summer at various companies like Epic Games, Riot Games, and professional esports organizations like the Evil Geniuses and Version 1 that are located in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And so, as a result from HBCU Esports League, we wanted to do a little bit more than just provide simply a platform for these students to compete virtually. So taking this a step further, our second iteration is actually developing esports and STEM labs at these various schools. So far, we have already completed 2 of these labs, one at my alma mater, Oakwood University, and then our co-founder's alma mater, North Carolina Central University. And we're on track right now to complete nearly 12 more by the end of 2021. And as we continue to gain more corporate support and corporate partners, it allows us to then go out and build that many more. So essentially now if we look at an analogy, we are building the basketball courts or the football fields for these esports programs to actually have a place dedicated on campus for these students to compete, convene, and then also continue building community on campus. So throughout the pandemic, we have done some significant work that we are very, very proud of, but we know that we're just getting started. As it stands right now, within just a 6-month time span, we've been able to secure partnerships with Microsoft, Verizon, Comcast, Twitch, and a couple of others. And we're really looking to provide an ecosystem that supports students where they're passionate and show them how they can make a career and make a living out of things that we consider to be a waste of time. So we're really excited to share this message with you all and continue to do the amazing work to support our HBCUs and the efforts to enter and have equity in the esports and video game industry.
To community, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to help us get started and grow. Chris is amazing, Ryan is amazing, Julian is amazing. You guys are wonderful, and I'm grateful to be a part of community and be able to share this opportunity with my school. This is amazing.
What's going on, family? Welcome back for another episode of HBCU Esports League, powered by Verizon. I am Bridge, now alongside the one and only Christina Granville, aka Miss Basketball. We might as well get right to it. Listen, you ready? That's what happens. Hold it down for Langston now. I mean, listen, Langston looks so far, but we got a tie ball game now, ladies and gentlemen. Scored out about 24 all with less than a minute remaining. The man's got froze to the rack. Oh, here we go. Oh my God. Let's run. Here we go with his left side. In the lane, open lane by himself. Cam, are you kidding me? Yes, sir. Are you kidding me? Ain't no timeout, bro. We talk fashion, we talk culture, and we talk my favorite kicks. Go ahead and give it up for the one, the only Rio.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Esports is champion represented platform.
I feel as though this is a big accomplishment, and my hard work pays off.
Well, I just wanted to say to everyone over at Verizon, thank you. To Community Co, thank you. To two great, amazing hosts, thank y'all. It just really means the world to me. I proudly accept this award. Thank you.
Congratulations, Esports. Congratulations, Nightcrawler. You have made your universities and your HBCUs proud, and today, tonight, and until next season, we continue to celebrate you. Let's continue to make history unapologetically, and we are truly making a mark on the industry that can never be erased.
But this is only the beginning. Yes, inaugural. Yes, first season. But there is more to come. Until next time, peace, love, and all is light.
Hello and welcome, everyone. I'd like to take this time to kindly introduce speakers representing CX Community, Chris and Julian.
Hey, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, excellent.
Oh, perfect. Hey, good afternoon. My name is Chris PA, co-founder of Community.
And good afternoon. My name is Julian Fitzgerald, one of the founding members of Community, as well as the COO.
Amazing. Thanks so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having us. I'm sorry, we can't see anything, but just hope everyone enjoyed the video. We put some time into it. It was basically a mixture of Community since Community's birth in February of 2020, all the way up to now, June 4th, 2021, including our HBCU Esports League. So really just wanted to see, if you guys enjoyed the video, if you had any questions, we're just here to pretty much answer, any questions that you guys have. So definitely thank you, Elizabeth, for having us.
Perfect. Since you aren't able to see the Q and chat feed, perhaps what I can do is I can verbally relay the message towards you that's coming from the chat.
Okay. Perfect.
Awesome. So we have a question here. Have HBCU formalized and or issued an, actually, perhaps I'll read this question here instead. How can a community-based org get involved with the movement? We have one HBCU locally, Harris Stowe University, and this would be great.
Absolutely. So we welcome any and all community organizations. We work a lot with community organizations. We work a lot with corporate organizations. We also work a lot with schools, of course, being an HBCU esports program. So yeah, Harris Stowe University, I don't think we've had a conversation with you guys, but definitely would love to. So, you could reach out. I don't know if I could drop my email in the chat. But yeah, please do reach out.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the community? You want to take that?
Perfect. What I'll do, I'll drop your email later while you're answering some questions, just so that everyone can get in touch. I'll also include your website as well. So we did have another question just come in. Can you tell us a little bit about the impact that esports had on your participants during the pandemic?
Yes, absolutely. So, of course, during the pandemic, physical sports kind of became like an obsolete thing last year. And so we were able to channel and kind of really hone in on like the esports portion of competitive video game play. Just realizing again that fact that like 83% of African American millennials play video games. Myself as an HBCU alum, 90% of the time what we were doing was playing video games in our dorms. And so we're able to channel that to then, introduce the students to esports, the video game industry as a whole, especially the opportunities that align within, and just pretty much put them to the test. And so now we have students from, let's say, Southern University, for example, that are playing students from Oakwood University, which otherwise would have like never happened before. They're doing something that they're already doing in their dorms anyway, but then they win like a $10,000 scholarship prize. And so just that type of impact, I'll let Julian kind of go into, the internship opportunities that kind of align within, but we provided internship opportunities, scholarship opportunities, as well as some like in-kind donations for the students and the schools as well.
Yeah, and to really piggyback on that, I would also include, a couple of things that were huge, especially as, in-person sports were not an option is, the universities themselves. We also see as participants of the leagues. And so our school partner institutions were able to leverage some of their existing bandwidth and or, support or sponsorship for their existing leagues, for the esports efforts, as well as in regards to some of the students' benefits from the league interaction. Is, this league was really an awareness and attraction tool for not only our students in the various HBCU institutions, but also our corporate audience. And so being able to support our students who participated with different scholarships as well as prize pool opportunities has been huge. And then some of the last few pieces is securing internships on behalf of some of these larger companies that we're all familiar with, that, the game developers who are, who develop Epic Games, who develop Fortnite, as well as some large, huge other ones. And so being able to secure internship roles or positions for our students and direct access to these industry leaders is huge. And I would say this is really, thanks and a huge influential piece to our league and the students' participation.
Amazing. Thanks so much for sharing. So another question from our audience. Someone's asked, give me an idea of what you have heard from regional employees inside and outside of esports in terms of how esports relates to their own talent pipelines.
Absolutely. This is something that I would say in regards to employers, we've already had some film academy as well as production entities reach out because of the transferable skills and the multidisciplinary skill sets that an individual must possess being in the industry. So in regards to, the feedback from inside of the industry or outside of the industry that some of these companies have had is, really centered around the existing skill set and prerequisite knowledge that students had based on their interest in some of the stream or game productions and how they're able to, take some of those skill sets as well and transfer them over to a potential, internship role or apprenticeship role where they're able to further leverage their existing knowledge to an existing role, especially being here in Georgia. There are some of the larger opportunities within, just being exposed to some of these content and production roles. And so I would say those are probably the most vocal employers in regards to how esports in itself relates within this industry in regards to those talent pipelines they're able to tap into.
Amazing. So another question here from our audience. What can a high school esports coach do to help their students, players find their way towards an HBCU program? And further, how are you working with high school level programs?
That's an excellent question. You want to start on that?
Yeah, no, sure. So we work we're Atlanta, Georgia based. So we work with a lot of Atlanta, Georgia high schools. We're also working with, fingers crossed, a corporate partner to then be able to create like a national esports program for high schools. But everything we do, it creates its pipeline. So what Julian is working on now with our educational program is creating pipelines to HBCUs. And so we have, the students are able to come, they go through the K through 12, pretty much like, I wouldn't say intense, but a pretty cool program where they get to learn a lot of transferable skills. They pick up those skills and then they realize, oh, like Clark Atlanta University has an esports program, and then we just kind of funnel them directly through there with like internship opportunities, different job opportunities that they can work through before they actually get to college. But yeah, just creating that pipeline program. I would say like we're literally probably 4 or 5 of the most personable people that you could think of. So I would definitely say, as Elizabeth sent our email out, please feel free to shoot us an email, and we could always just jump on a call and kind of go a little bit further.
Absolutely. And then also to answer the latter part of that question in regards to how are we furthering our work within the high school environment. So like Chris alluded to, with mirroring and mimicking our collegiate league, we're in the process of compiling a high school league that will directly feed into the HBCU environment that we're already entrenched in. And so this is something that we're very excited about, giving our K through 12, really our high school audience, an opportunity to start to not only compete and gameplay, but also help support and learn the basics and gain experience in and around the industry, everything from content creation, content curation, broadcast and production, tournament organizing. And so we're giving students the opportunity to one, manage some of those experiences as well as participate in those with the high school league that we're putting together, as well as our career readiness program is tailored towards the K through 12 environment, specifically really 6 through 12. We have a couple of younger students in the 6th and 7th grade, but our program already is designed to help them identify the vital skill sets as well as prerequisite information and relationships they need to establish so that they are able to pursue a pathway depending on their own interest.
Perfect, very insightful. So it seems we only have time for one more question, but we did have quite a bit coming through. So if to end off the last question, as someone stated, amazing work in 1 year. So impressed. What has been the biggest challenge of running virtual tournaments?
I'd say the biggest challenge of running virtual tournaments is it's like, I guess actually getting everyone to show up on time. In an ideal world, we would have the students participate on campus. And so like, that's kind of why to prep for that, we're building Esports Labs on campus. As a quick sidebar, like before December 2021, we'll have 12 Esports Labs built. So then, we're able to then, funnel those students into one place where they can participate together as a team and practice, as well as compete, as well as, like Julian said, leveraging the communications department at the school to then be able to produce and, put the broadcast, the actual tournaments. So I would say a challenge is, just making sure that everyone, shows up on time. It's the biggest thing in terms of like virtual.
Perfect. Thanks so much for sharing. I completely agree. I mean, competing as well as hosting tournaments as well. Sometimes players may come a little late, and it does hold everything back a little bit. But I think just being adaptive and pivoting is a good solution. So thanks so much for taking the time to answer these questions. So to the viewers out there, I have posted in the announcements how you can connect with community. So you can connect by visiting their website, which is www.cxmmunity.co, or you can connect with Chris. I have posted Chris's email in that announcement as well. Thanks so much, Chris and Julian, for taking the time to speak with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having us.
Absolutely.
Perfect. So up next, please stay tuned as we do have our next panel coming up, and it's focused on the topic, crafting esports and gaming programs for academic success. So please stay tuned.
Thank you, everyone. Looking forward to connecting with you.
Hello, everyone.
Great afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us here at the Wilson Center and our conversation today regarding HBCUs and esports. My name is John Cash, and I'm very excited to moderate this fabulous panelist of innovators. When we think about what's going on in the world now regarding esports and gaming and HBCUs, we have some innovators that will be sharing conversation. And I would just have to say, with all of them, history is rarely historic when you're in the middle of it. And you'll see in a little bit about what they're going to be sharing. Our topic this afternoon will be crafting esports and gaming programs for academic success. So I'm just going to share a little bit about this program and then have our panelists do a 5-minute introduction, and we'll get into the questions, followed by questions and answers. If there's any type of technical difficulty, our Microsoft team will take advantage of it, and one of the panelists will continue the conversation. Again, my name is John Cash, and again, on behalf of the Wilson Center, I just want to first of all, give thanks to everyone who've made this possible. So that would include the ambassador, Congresswoman Johnson, Elizabeth with the Wilson Center, Seneca with the White House HBCU initiative, our wonderful Microsoft team, Josh, Renata, Zierra, Maria, of course, community, and of course, all of our panelists. We're very thankful for these HBCU innovators and leaders. And lastly, but not least, you, the audience, making this possible for everyone. And we look forward to further conversations with you moving forward. So just a little bit about our program again, crafting esports and gaming program for academic success. One critical way that esports is being leveraged on campuses is to support academic success. Esports can touch every major academic area, from 21st century skills to STEM, which is, of course, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. Programs can offer direct opportunities for workforce development, supporting students as they go into the gaming industry and esports, teaching students STEAM skills like coding or sport entertainment management skills. But this is just the beginning of the programs can also bridge the gap with more traditional forms of academic success, applying it across all disciplines. The sky is currently the limit, as we all know. And again, our panel will focus on where HBCUs are now and also where we hope to go. And so with that, we're going to start the introduction of our panelists, who will provide approximately a 5-minute overview about themselves, their organizations, and their programs. We'll start with Dr. Bernadette Lawson-Williams. Dr. Williams is Professor of Sport Management, Advisor of Esports Gaming Management Program at Johnson C. Smith University. Dr. Lawson-Williams, I'll let you start.
Greetings, everyone. I am a proud fourth-generation HBCU graduate. I am also in my 17th year of passionate professorship at Johnson C. Smith University. As Professor Cass mentioned, I am a full tenured professor of sport management. I also serve as a founder and advisor of our esports and gaming trifecta, the first at an HBCU, which consists of an esports and gaming management minor program for JCSU students, as well as a certificate program for non-JCSU students, an Esports Lab, a game development club, and a highly competitive esports club that went from inception to playoffs in 6 months. Our approach is really based upon the 3 C's, from clubs, classes, to careers. And so we're so proud to boast partnerships with leading esports and gaming companies such as Riot Games, Nacon Gaming, as well as Point3, a performance apparel company based out of Atlanta, Georgia, that also serves as our official jersey provider for our esports club, and CEB Collection, an African-American owned eyewear company that serves as the official gaming eyewear provider for our esports club. We were recently nominated for the 2021 Esports Collegiate Award, and I'm excited to be with you today to share dialogue and to answer any of your questions regarding esports and academia.
Fabulous. Thank you very much, Dr. Lawson-Williams. Just loving the energy I'm feeling here with everyone. Next up, I would like to introduce Dr. Robbie Melton. Dr. Melton has already been an innovator in the HBCU collegiate space, and now she is doing fabulous things with TSU, Tennessee State University, as Associate Vice President of SMART, Global Technology Innovation Center, and the Dean, Graduate School, Graduate Professional Studies at Tennessee State University. Dr. Melton, thank you very much for joining us, and if you could share some words with us.
Oh, definitely. Not only am I going to share words, I'm going to compete and play and learn. Yes, you see, I'm ready. Can you all imagine an associate vice president of a university ready to play? Would you ever imagine an associate vice president all geared down from goggles? Listen, I'm ready to play. So my panelists know I came correct. On behalf of Tennessee State University, I want to share with the world that I am from a generation that would basically punish you for esports. Yes, I'm that old. I'm before Pac-Man. All of a sudden, I woke up to a whole new digital literacy STEM world, and I didn't find underserved populations, minorities, Blacks in that world. All of a sudden, I'm looking at people who are coding, people who are creating these digital games, but only less than 2% of what we consider underserved populations there. Well, I'm not old enough to do something about it. On behalf of Tennessee State University, we took a whole year in investigating the world of esports. So I have to give some shout outs. My shout out goes to John Cash. Didn't know him, looked him up, and he jumped right in to help shape, to help inform, and to put us on the pathway. I have to give a shout out to Isaiah Reese. We didn't know anything about esports. And with his Blaze Fire Games, he was able to come and share with us a whole new certificate world of esports. I really have to give a shout out to Twitch. Hello, Garvey. We were clueless. And again, I can name on and on, from community to the Fortnite. I'm here for my 5 minutes to share with you all. If you don't know, ask. If you don't know, play. Esports is not a world where you sit back. You better get involved. On behalf of the academic community, I am here to share with you that TSU offered the first graduate level course in esports. Why grad level, everyone? Because you have people like me who have an attitude about esports. So I went and gathered up principals, superintendents, professors, provosts, presidents, to let them know that esports crosses all disciplines, from education, health, psychology, business, and we look at this as academic esports. We will play, we will learn, and we will be entrepreneurs, and yes, we will help create these games. So on behalf of not just Tennessee State, but the HBCUs, we have to look at this as an opportunity to pathway into all of our programs. And at Tennessee State, we are the hub for everyone can code and create. What does that mean, everyone? You can design games, you can develop games, and guess what? You can also play them. So I'll turn it over to my next panelist, Mr. Turner.
Yes, thank you very much. We appreciate that, Dr. Melton. And last but not least, of course, the dynamic Mr. Chris Turner. This guy continues to do great things, and he is the general manager and head esports coach at Southern University. And Chris, please share some words with us before we get into our questions. Thank you.
Yeah, it's definitely a privilege to be here. Thanks for the invite, and I thank for sharing this panel with such prestige people in the space that are, forerunners and innovators in the space with me. Like Mr. Cash said, I'm general manager at Southern University A&M College of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Southern is the only HBCU in the country that has a system. Everybody asks me what does that mean. We have the Baton Rouge landmass that encompasses Southern University Laboratory School, which is the pre-K through 12th grade school. We have an undergraduate on that landmass. We have Southern University Law Center. We have Southern University Agriculture. We also have a campus in New Orleans, SUNO, which is Southern University New Orleans. We have SUSLA, Southern University Shreveport, which is in Shreveport, Louisiana. We have our own board that reports directly to the Board of Regents in the state of Louisiana. So that's what encompasses. And so let me dive into how we got here. I started at Southern University Laboratory School, which is the pre-K through 12th grade school. Like I told you before, started an esports program, reached out to people like John Cash and reached out to Ryan and Chris at Community and started building relationships. Fast forward, we end up launching the first Esports Lab and media room in the state of Louisiana at a high school. Through those works, we renovated a room roughly at $50,000. We had partners such as Sector 6 for jerseys, Verta Gear for gaming chairs. We had NACON, like my sister, Ms. Lawson Williams, said before, and shout out to Corey Roseman that was there at the time. But that was our headset sponsor. We had Addis, a company out of California that sponsored, screens, mice, keyboards, mouse pads. It was a community that never stopped giving for us. And so we accomplished that. I got into the role at Southern in September. Since then, we've had some national championships as far as tournaments. I had the third highest ranked player in Madden in the country. He won over $4,100 in scholarships last year. Southern University Lawson has been real critical in the space. They launched the Mixed Reality Virtual Innovation Gaming and Esports Institute. So I helped produce the Esports Summit this year, virtual, that people on this panel took place in. And, they've been innovative in the space from a sense of an untapped thing as far as law is concerned. You need law in every arena, but especially in esports, there's so much movement in the space. And so right now, we have plans to build out an esports and mixed reality, virtual reality space within the campus in Baton Rouge. We look forward to gaining more exposure. I know I probably missed some steps in the process, but we only have 5 minutes, but it's definitely a pleasure being here.
Well, thank you very much to everyone. Yes, we have approximately a half an hour. We're going to spend approximately 20 minutes with these questions in round robin and spare time for questions as they're feeded to me by my dynamic Microsoft team, Maria and Ziera. So they keep us on point in the chat. So we'll start off with the first question and start again with Dr. Lawson Williams. And this is in regards to esports gaming. What is the impact you're seeing on students? Since you launched your program approximately 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago, what is that impact you're seeing on your students now? And then I would say after that, where do you see that trend going? Thank you, Dr. Lawson.
Yes. Our students are absolutely aghast that they can actually game, which is what they love to do, from a leisure standpoint and competitively. And now they're actually able to link that to careers. Yeah. I've talked to parents, I've talked to high school students and middle school students, and even my own twin sons who are gamers were just, aghast that their careers linked to esports and gaming. So for us, we have seen an augment in enrollment we actually established a admissions team and recruitment team specifically for our esports and gaming trifecta. And I'm excited to share that we actually just got our first female gamer a week ago. So we're already linking her in, and she plays everything from Overwatch to Valorant to Call of Duty. And so she's actually joining the squad now. She's competing with them, she's trying out. And so it's exciting. So again, for us, I think the biggest aspect or the most profound aspect for us was the partnership. So the partnership with Riot Games in particular really helped to sort of provide an illustration to our students that we weren't just talking about careers, but we in fact were leading them down the pathway to careers. So like I said, the club, class, and career opportunity, that pipeline itself, from those students that joined our esports club, which is highly competitive, so now they're in the classroom with Professor Cash and Professor Meekins, and they're learning about the specific content related to esports and gaming, technology as it relates to gaming, the business industry and trends, project management, tournament management, and learning all of that. They're already ready for careers. And so when you think about gamers, gaming as itself as an actual industry is probably one of the few self-bred or self-developed industries. And what I mean by that is if a child starts gaming at 4 or 5 years old and they're developing those techniques, those skills throughout the years, by the time they get to high school and college, they're already coming ready to go into an industry, ready to solidify a workforce. And so that's what we're seeing. So our main focus now is, aside from the technical understanding, because they already possess that, it's more the soft skills, working on strong communication skills, both written and oral, working on creativity, how do we enhance, this particular student and provide that holistic approach. And a lot of that has to do with esports and gaming. So esports and gaming is really just the appetizer. It's what it takes to get them on the campus. Our Esports Lab is going to be the focal point and the meeting space between academics and competitive gaming. And so once you have that, we're now going to be working with one of our students from my sport management program is actually going to be the esports massage therapist on duty in the fall. And it's exciting to see that come into fruition because she's actually a certified massage therapist. So in talking with her about opportunities in the esports ecosystem, she decided that she wanted to work with our esports athletes. So they'll have on duty an esports massage therapist. She's working on techniques, ascertaining information pertaining to the treatments and the types of exercises that are appropriate and preparing them for competitions. And so we're just excited. So again, the linkage, clubs, it starts out as a leisure competitive type of interaction, but when you get to the class, the content that is provided and delivered from our qualified professors, those two cemented together will automatically lead our students to careers. So it's just a matter of setting up those partnerships, establishing them, reaching out to corporations. And corporations are always looking for interns because, again, how else do they solidify the workforce? How else do they achieve the goal of diversity? Looking at not just from a racial diversity standpoint, but gender diversity as well as individuals with exceptionality. The types of assistive devices that are out on the market now. And so I think that is really, where most of us stand in terms of esports academics. That's the way to get students in, get them involved, get them engaged, because they're already passionate about esports. So just adding on the extra layer of knowledge for them that will lead them to career opportunities.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Williams. And to our audience, Ms. Zierra Forbes is feeding questions to us, and we will address your questions between the questions that I have for the panel. So Dr. Melton, for you again, what is the impact you are seeing on your students at this point now, and again, possibly the future as you look strategically?
Well, interesting. And again, thank you, Dr. Lawson Williams. You said it all. So I'm just going to add a little bit more to that. Yes, we're seeing a surge of students coming to us asking about esports. And yes, we have Black Girls Can Game. And with that, I emphasize that because we have the perception that gaming and esports is just for guys. It's for everyone. And here's the surprising part to all of this. We even have senior citizens coming to us gaming. And so I'm like, okay, with that, in terms of academics, everyone, we established at Tennessee State University an eSports advisory committee made up of a representative from every one of our colleges, every one of them. And you'll probably say, even ag? I said, yes, we have a representative from ag looking at GI spaces and spatial relations, psychology, business, education, name it. Because if this is going to be ingrained into our regular program, we have to have buy-in from everyone. So yes, we have athletics. Yes, of course, we're going to beat Southern and all the system schools. That's just to get them, get them ready. But again, as an academic officer, everyone, on the serious side, you have to have buy-in. And with our students, we work closely with our student affairs so that we can market, recruit, and pathway them in to all of these programs, especially STEM, and our careers. So with that, at Tennessee State, we also identify a person, Dr. Fur Ampadu, if you out there, here's your call out, who is directing our students in terms of esports. And before I turn it over to my panelists, Dr. Turner, we also have esports not only for undergraduates, but graduates. Did you all hear that? Graduates and our community. So I will stop there. And by the way, we are E-Tigers, if you didn't catch that in the background. All right.
Thank you very much. Very comprehensive, Dr. Melton. And again, I will turn over to Chris at Southern. Again, what is the impact you are seeing on your students now and which you may foresee moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, my perspective would probably be more, along the lines of a K through 20 perspective. And, like the lady said before, our 4 pillars is community, careers, competition, and health and wellness. Like I said before, the ladies just covered that. And I think that's all the universities are adopting those 4 pillars in some way. Mm-hmm. And so, we need to activate, everybody on our campus as well. We're in talks right now, but it's gonna take the whole system to be a part of it, and that's what you need. But the impact on our students, we had EA to come into the fold this year, and just seeing, my community director is a Black African American female. Like, she runs the community, and so for her to gather everybody up to get them on calls with like EA and go over resume building and go over, hey, what we're looking for in candidates, what skill sets, soft and hard skill sets you need to be in the industry, and what we're looking for. So those type of feats, on top of us, having a winning program and actually, going through gameplay and coaching and building those skill sets that you do to compete, that you do in traditional sports. And so, even on our, K through 12 side, seeing those guys, compete and win scholarships, and now having talks with universities that probably weren't going to give them a look because they're not traditional athletes. Now they're getting those looks and conversations. And so it's definitely opening up windows and doors of opportunities. And, we're along for the ride. I don't see it stopping anytime soon. This is our new norm. Due to my research, 97% of, but 97% of kids between the age of 13 and 18 play video games. Yeah. And so, we're meeting them where they are. I heard that earlier. We're actually meeting them where they are. I call it all the time. John's heard me say this. I call it the chocolate over broccoli approach. The chocolate is the Esports Lab and the virtual reality hubs that we're building on our campuses. And the broccoli is the pathways that Dr. Melton and, Dr. William Lawson said before, those pathways. And not only those pathways within the ecosystem of esports, but they can also transition over into other job sets. And so, It's a real exciting time for anybody that's in gaming and esports, especially in the academic realm, because it's growing. The pandemic grew it even more.
Yeah.
And it's just exposure and opportunities. I'm a firm believer in that exposure leads to expansion, and that's what I'm seeing out of my students at Southern University.
Love that. Exposure leads to expansion. I love that.
Yeah.
I use that quote. Always about search and repeat, and I love it. So we're going to get into some of the questions, and this is open forum. And the first one is, let me see, I'm not going to share the names, but I want to be confidential. But the first one, I'm looking right now. How have you been able to leverage the space in support of girls in gaming? Now, I believe that both Dr. Lawson Williams and Dr. Melton have addressed that a little bit, but if you want to give one specific example, again, this is open to everyone, you too, Chris, but just one quick specific example, I'd appreciate it. And we're going to give another question from our audience and then get back to my questions. So whoever wants to start, thank you.
Well, I think everything has to be deliberate and purposeful. And so in creating policies that engage female gamers, and like I said, I'm really big in diversity. So aside from gender diversity, you're looking at all types of various groups. But in particular, you have to be deliberate in developing policies that invite and engage female gamers. And so we're excited again to share that we have our first female gamer who actually is not a student at Johnson C. Smith yet. She's been accepted, but she's already in the pipeline. So in discussing with our current esports club members what the environment and what the climate of our club will be, they already know that they need to reach out and engage. And so that's what they're doing with her. They're seeing female gamers as just as competitive as male gamers. Mm-hmm. And I think another platform in particular has to be having females on the front porch. And so being on the front porch of our esports and gaming trifecta would also provide the actual image of a woman who is bringing individuals in. And so that itself, I think that image will definitely help to welcome our female gamers to JCSU.
Thank you.
My foot is always to the fire. I'm a girl dad, and so both of them are gamers. And so we did some innovative things, on the high school side. My daughter is a Smash Brothers player, so when we held photo shoot day for athletics, they were able to come in and sit in the gaming chair and take pictures with the pink headsets and get involved and get banners placed at the school. And we ran a campaign, Girls Game Too. And so I'm real privileged to that. And so on the college side of things, I want to run a full student-led program. I just want to oversee and manage because I don't want to be that hands-on, but I've been. And so, going into the fall semester, we have different roles. We have shoutcasters, we have producers, we have graphic designers. So it's all kind of implementation for a woman to get on board, all kind of genders like Dr. Lawson Williams was saying before. And so, it's all about meeting these kids where they are. It's opportunity and space for everybody, and we're going to make sure that everybody's included and not separated.
And with that, let me just add my 2 cents. Look at us. Weren't you surprised to see, whoa, look at these gamers and these old gamers too. And so I make sure that when people come into my office, they see all of the academic area and all that, but they also see my game control. And again, it's about role modeling, everyone. When they see someone similar that looks like them, and it's almost to say, okay, it's all right. So again, life is good.
And I think that's a key point, both Dr. Lawson Williams and Dr. Robbie Melton. Look at this. We have 2 African-American doctors leading esports initiatives at the university level. So again, what they see is what they'll be. So that's a big takeaway. And I would share with all of our audience, please feel free to reach out to these leaders at their institutions. All this information will be on the Wilson Center, or you can just Google them. or go on LinkedIn. They would love to talk to you. Thank you, guys. We're going to field another question from the audience because we have quite a few here, so I want to get to them. Let me look at the next question here. Are there online resources that you recommend to help build esports programming and curriculum that might be helpful for a school just getting started? And again, let's be brief and succinct in our comments, but
Yes.
please, for our panelists, for our audience, if you would love to follow up on these questions, please feel free to reach out to our panelists. So I'll let you guys take it from there.
Okay, I'm going to jump in first. All right, on behalf of Tennessee State University and our mission and our vision of using academic esports to recruit and to pathway into our STEAM areas for this fall, and this fall only. If you have a bachelor's degree and you would like a graduate course in esports this fall, Tennessee State University has a scholarship for you to take a course this fall to explore all aspects of esports. I know, okay, go ahead. What did she say? This fall, if you are from an HBCU and you would like to explore all of the ins, the outs, the ups, the downs, and to play within that class, we are offering a scholarship of a course, 3 credit hours, graduate course for you this fall.
Thank you. Other panelists want to address, and again, that question, are there online resources that you recommend to help build esports programming and curriculum that might be helpful for a school just getting started?
Yes, absolutely. I have to self-cite. I recently wrote an opinion article that was published by the Esports Observer on just that, how to build an HBCU esports program. So Google that, review it, peruse it. If you have any questions, please do feel free to reach out to me. And it's more than just about HBCU programs. It's about building any type of esports program. It's just that particular article was based on the development of our esports and gaming trifecta at Johnson C. Smith University.
I have to lean on Mr. Cash on this one. I think, the more important phase of it is building your network, making sure that you're involved with people that's on this panel, and making sure that you're involved with people that's in the industry that know exactly what a curriculum should look like. There's no cookie cutter format to it, a blueprint to it. Everybody's doing it different. Some people are adding to existing degrees. Some universities are building new tracks. At Southern University, I know for sure Southern University Law Center, they're looking at micro credentials, and so we have that coming down the pipeline soon. And so, it might be addition to your educational path, like graduate, like Dr. Melton was saying, but it's so many ways and so many opportunities and so many resources. If you have an internet, if you have LinkedIn, trust me, you have people around that'll help you. The industry is not that competitive where you won't find any information.
Thank you guys very much. And I'm going to go back to our Wilson Center question here. Again, we have approximately 15 minutes left. So again, you can always reach our panelists moving forward after this event, and we will continue. So the next question I have, how does this effort connect to broader academic efforts at your institution? Again, how does this effort, Esports Gaming Initiative, connect to a broader academic effort at your institution? We'll start with Dr. Melton, go to Christopher, and then go to Dr. Lawson-Williams.
Very quickly, we have this aligned to our various programs. So as you're playing these games, it should occur to you someone had to code these games, someone had to design these games. So we have esports where it's aligned to our College of Education Technology program, that when you take some of our courses, it will also lead to a certificate and also a master's degree. We also have this aligned to our Everyone Can Code and Create, where you can code. We have it aligned to our business, psychology, on and on. So because we have a multi-discipline advisory esports committee, we're able to use that to help students to look at opportunities and careers within esports.
Thank you, Dr. Melton. Christopher?
Yes, sir. I mentioned our system earlier today, but using those resources, I mean, I think all three of us have similar models on this panel. I mean, it's the easiest thing to do, use your resources that you have at your grasp. And so to answer the question from the person that posed it, you have to look at, I'll give this fun fact and then I'll get into the details. Gaming, not esports. Esports is a sub conglomerate of gaming. Gaming itself is bigger than the NBA, NFL, MLB, movies, and music combined. Let me say it again. Gaming itself is bigger than all those other industries combined, put together. So you have to realize where we're going and where we are. And so with that said, everything dealing with gaming, like Doctor said, coding, we have a nursing school at Southern. And so we're going to get them involved as far as health and wellness. We have robotics. We have an engineering department. We have a law center. We have an agriculture department. And, like Doctor said, we have committees. We have these think tanks where we're going to implement esports throughout the college. And so it's a track in all of those fields. And you don't have to dig deep. If you just Google esports career maps, go look at that on Google and look at how far that net goes within esports and gaming.
Thank you very much. Dr. Lawson-Williams?
Yes, our support is similar to my illustrious colleagues here, is from the top down to the bottom. So our president is even involved in the effort.
Yeah, I do.
So you have to have that support for any effort to come into fruition. And so I think that's the biggest part of it, the network, extending it beyond the campus, making sure that you're looping in your alumni. We had an alumni donated a large amount of money recently, and it was all about esports and gaming. He was a computer science major at JCSU who graduated a few years ago, and his thought process was, gosh, if we had something like this when I was here, imagine where I would be. I said, well, you don't have to regret or imagine, you're a part of our family now. And so we're going to take those efforts and amplify, them. And so students won't have to feel like they have it now, they have the opportunity now. And so we'll take those efforts and make sure that they're turned into something awesome. So I think it's essentially the same, taking that network.
Thank you guys for sharing. I'm going to dial back into a couple of questions. I'm sharing the questions from the audience as they come in, but some of these have been addressed, I feel, from our illustrious panel, but I still just want to share them just in case the panelists have another nugget to share. So the next one is, my school has pushed back on launching an esports program. They believe it's too much of a distraction that takes away students from their studies. Do you think this is the case? If so, what solutions do you recommend? So I feel that we have covered that.
We covered it.
Again, I don't want to be myopic in thought, so I'll just open it up to one person who would like to address that. And my rationale is never to discount our illustrious audience's comments, but I think we've addressed it, and I would want to get to some more questions. And for those individuals, again, please reach out to these people. Again, 2 years ago, none of this was happening at HBCU. And now look at what's happened. So you have the leaders right here that you can talk to. So who would like to take this?
I'll take it. I think there has to be a mindset transformation on campus. Yeah. And when Professor Cash and I started on this road to our esports and gaming trifecta, we felt like the best approach was leading with academia.
Yeah.
Driving the car with academia on any college campus, any K through 12 sector is actually going to take you to your destination faster, because they don't see it as just playing the game or just recreationally engaging in gaming. They see it as there is an outcome. We always talk about learning outcomes. And so When you connect with academia, find ways to make sure that you're connecting with different content areas. And when you can provide that type of data and documentation to your campus leaders, you're going to win. And then you'll see it's more than just a game.
Thank you. And I'm going to follow up with another question from our audience. And we'll start with Chris and go to Dr. Williams and Dr. Melton. So the question is, HBCUs historically have been overlooked and undervalued in economic development assets in some regions. Can esports serve as a catalyst for a new kind of community connection, including the actual physical space arena? Now, again, my panels, they are all over it because they've addressed a lot of this already. But this specific question is coming from a media point of view. So I'm just going to give you guys a chance to reiterate a key nugget that you've already addressed. So, Chris?
Yeah, sure. You know, I told you our landmass and shout out to community for getting us started this summer is actually about to start production on our Baton Rouge campus. And I have my counterparts at Suno that they're starting. And, you know, you have to look at it this way. We're in a position right now with the social injustice and the big diversity and inclusion. You know, you're seeing that everywhere. And so while this window is open, because we all know on this panel that it's not going to be there for long, we have to take advantage of it. We have to create these partnerships with these corporate entities. And, you know, to be quite frank with you, some of the corporate entities have came to me and said, well, we didn't know how to reach out to you guys. We didn't know where to start the conversation. So we find ourselves being in these meetings, putting on our CEO cap and pushing our programs. And we had to have the hard conversations with these corporations. But once we develop the relationships and get them embedded into the culture, then we're able to execute and build these land centers. And so I'll leave it with this. We have 3 different campuses in the state of Louisiana. If we put a land base like the person that posed the question said, we have 533, I think, high schools in the state. And I'm not even talking about the regional grass that we have. And so when you talk about impact, you need those land centers for that.
Thank you very much, Chris. Dr. Williams?
Well, I think the biggest part is self-initiative. And so I talked to some colleagues to say, well, how are you getting all these partnerships and opportunities? And I'm saying, well, why aren't you reaching out to some of these corporations? All of the activity that we've seen in terms of support for our program have, believe it or not, come from LinkedIn invitations that led to LinkedIn conversations. And so the conversations have to be had. And so I think we've all seen the growth of esports, HBCU esports and gaming over the past year, and kudos to, you know, community and all of the other agencies that out here. Play Versus as well has been a big advocate for getting HBCUs into the space and leveling the playing field. So part of it, again, is just asking. Think about what your needs are and then reach out to those prospective individuals that can help to meet your needs. The help is out there. It's a matter of asking.
And please know, I'm reaching. I'm reaching everyone. And this fall, I am pleased to announce, and this is to John Cass, because he's not going to believe this, okay? TSU will have a physical esports arena, eBlue. We're talking state of the art. And within this gaming center, again, you're talking about academics. We will teach courses. We will also have partnerships coming in. So if you are out in the audience, please know we are geared, we are ready to partner with you. And for my panelists, we're going to share too. We also are promoting open education resources for esports. In other words, we have a portal right now ready for everyone. Anything you want to know about esports, A to Z, from preschool to lifelong learning, we have it already curated, free for you. Just tap on it and we're sharing. We want this to be open. We want it to be fair and access for all.
Thank you all again. We have approximately, I'm going to take some moderator liberties here, and Ms. Sierra Forbes of Microsoft will keep me on point if I can do this. I know we're almost at the top of the hour, 3 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, but I would like to spend another 10 minutes because again, these nuggets of golden nuggets that I have on here, these three panelists, we need to continue to share. So I have a couple of questions that I would like to share from the audience. We had one other question from the Wilson Center, but it was in regards to how have you seen your program change over time? Well, to be quite frank, all of these programs are still relatively new.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to focus more on the other questions here. Again, very appreciative for the Wilson Center question, but I want to go to a couple of here. The next one seems, it seems like all high-level athletes play a lot of video games in their downtime. Is there a strong opportunity for HBCUs to leverage the visibility of traditional sports athletes to draw attention and dollars to your esports program? So Dr. Lawson Williams and then Dr. Melton and Dr. Turner. And again, this will probably be our last question, so we'll look at how succinct we can be with it. Thank you, Dr. Williams.
Yes, we're on it at Johnson C. Smith University. So I'm in close contact with our athletic director, and I will continue to engage him regarding opportunities to collaborate. My background is in sport management. So, you know, for the past 24 years, I've been knee deep in traditional sports. And now, you know, I'm back in esports. I was actually a gamer girl back in the day. So Pac-Man, Asteroids, those are my games. But again, now I'm living vicariously through my twin sons who are avid gamers. And through that, in addition to the initiatives that we have going on at Johnson C. Smith University, we're on it. And so you will see a number of initiatives solidified over the next few months once we return to campus that will engage both traditional sports as well as esports on our campus.
Okay, I'll jump in. I'm ready. As you know, and if you didn't know, and I hope Mickey Allen, our AD, is listening, we have a new football coach, Eddie George. And Eddie George is a gamer. So come on, everybody. Yes, Eddie George is a gamer, and I'm sure he's going, yes, Robbie, we're ready for you all. So yes, we are aligning not only our top athletes, professors, whatever, we're going all the way again into our community. Tiger Bell, we have women gamers. So we're leveraging, because again, the end results that all of us have been pushing, academics.
Very good. Chris?
Well, you know, I think we all are on to something. I have to get a shout out to Damian White. Damian White has been responsible for the SWAC conference that we're in to start esports at a conference level in partnership with NACE. And so you're going to start seeing activations at football games and things of that nature, basketball games as well. They just did a big activation at the SWAC championship, like full stage, invited all 10 schools out. We're about to go to 12 schools within our conference. And so, you know, to the athletes that are professional, I say it's time to come back home. It's time to get in it. I mean, you see the activations as far as them having sponsorship deals with companies like HyperX and Logitech, stuff of that nature. So it's an open door for them to give back. I mean, they know the benefits of gaming. They do it every day. They're seeing benefits of it, and so it's just time, you know, to start having those hard conversations. Like I said before, and you know, we just announced that the Southern University Law Center through their institute just launched a partnership with Generation Esports, which is the biggest K-12 provider in the country right now. And so they just did a 3-year commitment for 1.5 million sponsorship and labs, and we did a $1 million sponsorship promise within the next 3 years. And so, you know, like you said, all you have to do is ask. Activate those sports. You need that photo likeness from those guys, man. It's, you know, you don't have to give money amounts all the time. Just come and show your presence, and you know, we can make stuff happen just off of your photo likeness and you being a part of the program.
Thank you very much. This is great, you guys. I'm just checking the meeting chat to make sure that I'm not getting blowback from my my people in the sky, in the virtual sky, managing this. I'm looking at other questions here. So this is a great one. for everyone, this might be our last, we'll see. Where do you see the future of esports at HBCUs in 10 years from now, 10-year goals or 10 years from now? And I'm just going to let you guys have at it with that one.
Ladies first.
Well, you're definitely going to see Johnson C. Smith University with a varsity team. I feel like we're only 1 or 2 years, away from that. Like I said, with our esports club going from inception to playoffs in the college Call of Duty league in 6 months, for us, that was just, fanatical. So it's just fantastic. And so we're amped up. We're excited. We're ready to go. And so you're going to see a lot more competition, even within this past first year of HBCU esports. Look at the competition. Look at the innovation that has, come into fruition. So we're going to see it amplified times 20 within the next few years.
And on behalf of Tennessee State, I see us taking esports, the technology, the innovation, the psychology of how it attracts students, retains students, to use it across all of our programs. And there will be, and did you already know, there's esports track and field, there's esports golf. We are going to have the full spectrum of esports at Tennessee State University. And let me just end by saying, everybody get ready, Tennessee State was the international winner of FIFA.
FIFA. Nice. Congratulations.
Sure. So to answer that question, this is what I envision. I envision using esports as a catalyst to build like innovation hubs on these HBCU campuses. And so what I would love to see and what we're planning on doing at Southern is having our students, be the next publishers of games, launch the next game, be in the virtual reality space, do something in agriculture that's dealing with virtual reality or mixed reality. And so, that's what I see in the next 10 years, having everybody with an esports arena or hub where we cultivate what we see in traditional sports. And, I'm just going to call out, like, let me know when we need to come up there to Tennessee and play y'all. Because we got some bands lifted now. So so let me know if you need to come down here and let's do it in person.
Okay, we can have E-band.
There you go. Okay. There you go.
Well, but you guys are already on our agenda for the Golden Bulls, so let's do it.
That's great. We're at the 3:04 mark, and I will continue to go. I was given the green light. So this is another great question here. I just thank you, audience, for these questions. Do you feel limited by the genres that are currently available to esports? And then that's the first one. Do you feel that new games looking to enter esports area should focus primarily on being exciting arena fillers, and then we'll find ways to connect players to career paths, programming, what have you? So let's just address the first one. Do you feel limited by the genres that are currently available in esports? And I think that's a really good question, because we do know how some institutions and the general audience feels about first-person shooter versus other games that can be more educational and everything like that. So let's just focus on that and get really interested in you guys' opinions, especially at the university level when it comes to first-person shooter.
I think the real limitation has more to do, at least from my perspective, on the types of games that are console versus PC. And so for a lot of the universities or just educational entities that don't have gaming PCs, it really puts a hindrance on the types of games that your students can actually participate in, because they're not well versed in them, because if they don't have gaming PCs at home, they're only playing on console gaming. And so I think that's the first disparity that always has to be addressed when we talk about the differences between the types of games. Of course, we all want exciting games. I wasn't a proponent of first-person shooter games specifically. I have twin sons that are almost 12 now, and they started having an interest in first-person shooter games at about 9 or 10. I stayed away, Halo and that kind of thing. I even hid the disc for Halo, and now that they're a little older and can play, I can't locate it. So, but I think for me, the biggest part of first-person shooter games, you know, you think about the aspect of the killing, the violence, and that kind of thing. Sadly, that's what's going on in society. And so esports is a microcosm of society. So everything we see going on in society is coming into esports. So I actually take it as a great way to have a conversation with my kids about killing and about the fact that this is esports. It's not reality. And certainly we want to have that conversation so that it doesn't become reality for some of our youth.
And remember, we can design these games. That's what we're promoting. Okay, so for that question, and as I see we're wrapping up, we got to empower our students to be innovators, entrepreneurs, and to design these games.
Sure, I agree. But studies show that first-person shooters is not tied to, you know, the massive shootings that we're seeing. Right. It's not connected at all. You can go look it up, go Google that. And as far as, you know, accessibility to the games, and I said it before, you know, to the panel and to our moderator, you know, exposure leads to expansion. You know, once we start providing these PCs and start adding these particular games and get these kids on the games, they see how fun it is, and they develop those skill sets, we'll be able to compete with all of the PWIs. It's just a matter of time.
Well, I thank you again on behalf of the Wilson Center, led by Elizabeth and her fabulous team, Microsoft Operational. I want to thank Dr. Lawson Williams, Johnson C. Smith University, Dr. Robbie Melton, Tennessee State University, Mr. Chris Turner, Southern University, pillars and leaders in HBCU esports and gaming, doing great things. Audience, please reach out to them, LinkedIn, their personal accounts at university, and myself, John Cash, a proud HBCU graduate, a proud HBCU adjunct professor, and service officer. I'm glad on behalf of everything here at Wilson Center, we appreciate this, and I look forward to this segueing toward the White House HBCU initiative, which we're working on also. So on that note, I will turn it over, and please continue to join us. Next is our Microsoft Minecraft program. So that will be the next portion. And I'm out.
Welcome back, everyone. My name is Darrell Booker, aka your techie's favorite techie. And by day, I work at Microsoft, ensuring that communities all across this country have an equal level playing field in terms of technology. And so much of that work is done with our HBCUs and making sure that students at these HBCUs have the latest in terms of coding as it relates to game development and esports. And with that, we kicked off the Minecraft Education Edition Hackathon with HBCU students, where teams from HBCUs designed and built their school's yard in Minecraft and then created a scavenger hunt style game as a part of it. We had 55 students from 20 HBCUs registered, and today we're about to showcase 3 of those builds. Unfortunately, my school, Hampton University, isn't a part of it, but you'll get to see Virginia State University, Spelman, and Tuskegee. So with that said, I want you to sit back and enjoy and take a look at what they built and also get to know the students that's representing those schools. Enjoy.
Hello, I am Dr. Jay Nias. I am a professor in computer and information sciences at Spelman College, and I have been blessed to have the pleasure to work with these wonderful young ladies as the advisor for the Microsoft Minecraft Education Edition HBCU Hackathon.
Hi everyone, my name is Kaylin Jackson. I'm a rising junior computer science major at Spelman College, and I'm from Dallas, Texas.
Hey guys, my name is Razel Oburu Bonaya. I'm a rising junior from Columbia, South Carolina, and I'm also a computer science major.
Hello, my name is Bria Phillips. I'm a rising junior computer science major from Atlanta, Georgia.
Hi guys, I'm Erica Holloway. I'm a rising junior computer science major at Spelman College from Chicago, Illinois.
Well, personally, I'm very proud to be a part of this. I know I got this text to join the program like last minute, like during exam week, and to see how far we've gone and how close we've gotten throughout this process is like really inspiring, and I'm very happy to be here.
To answer that question, I was going to say I love Spelman College, and I'm so proud to be a part of a sisterhood like this. So for me to represent the school in Minecraft, I was just so excited because I wanted everybody to get a chance to see the magic of Spelman, like I said in the video, and just be able to get a closer look of what is so special about our school.
Yeah, I definitely feel the same as my sisters Raz and Kaylin, and I just feel like we already are a tight-knit group as computer science majors from Spelman, and being able to do stuff with your sisters that you know that you're all capable of doing and that you know you can knock out the park, and even if it's a challenge, you know that you can bond together to create something cool to represent a school we all love collectively is like super, it's like just a fun time.
Yeah, I will also say I'm very proud of what we created, and also it's very nice being able to represent our school and also being able to work with my fellow computer science sisters. So I'm very happy to represent Spelman in that way.
Okay, I for one think it's very important to game-based learning and gamification in education, because if the main goal of education is to let people understand the concept that you're teaching it to people, especially children, in ways that they are able to comprehend and enjoy the topic, is just like the best of both worlds. Like the whole purpose of school and learning is to teach people and fill them with knowledge, and if people like suck that knowledge in like a sponge in the best way by playing games while enjoying that, it just seems like there's no loss there.
And with the technology and the growth we're going in, I can only imagine like VR and how more like inclusive we can get with technology and learning and gaming. So it's only a pro, I feel like, with the increase.
Yes, I also think that just in our current climate with virtual learning, I think it's very important to diversify the way in which we teach kids, and I think game-based learning is a great way to keep kids engaged and actually make learning fun in this virtual environment.
I just wanted to add that with the current climate of our world, we're seeing that learning can occur outside of like 4 walls. And so I really do think that educators are now becoming more hip to looking at learning in ways that aren't structured as in a classroom. And so gamification is, people are already learning through gaming all the time. My children actually learned how to read through Pokemon. Like, I am convinced that they learned from playing video games how to be better readers. So it's nice to get, as an educator, to get educators on board with looking at diverse ways of teaching and learning styles. Spelman is the #1 HBCU in the nation currently, and so we love the opportunity to display our talents and gifts and like the wealth of just amazingness we have on our campus. And even in starting this group, our first conversation was about how competitive we are and what goals we had towards winning, even beyond this competition, but just in like how we can propel ourselves and our work beyond the walls of the campus. So y'all speak to that.
Yes, I'd love to see more competitions like this on not only Spelman's campuses, but HBCU campuses across the nation, or really colleges in all. We just finished talking about how gamification is so helpful in learning at all ages, and challenges like this are like real life gamification of just learning and stuff. Even throughout this process, I learned about so much. And not to sound cocky, but I like to win. Me and my sisters like to win, and we love to win together. So this is very much like something that we all enjoyed and learned at least 3 things from. I bet at least each of us learned 3 new things. I learned a ton.
I would
Go ahead. Mine was a joke. Mine's a joke anyway, so it's good.
Okay. I would say one of the main obstacles we faced was time. Like everybody said, it was very last minute. I got an email from Dr. Niaz right after I just sold my research deal with her. She was like, hey, by the way, there's this Minecraft thing going on. Do you want to do it? I was like, okay, I guess I'll ask some of my friends. And then once I sent that text, it was like, boom, we met literally days later. And then every day we've been having meetings. And since it is like kind of towards the end of the semester and now we're in summer, everybody's been so busy. And I'm just so glad that we all made time and committed to this, and we like got this product that we're all proud of.
It was gonna be me and Kylan if it wasn't none of y'all. I just need you to know that I was like, you and I, we gotta get this done. So you guys were gravy on it. I'm so grateful that you decided to join.
Brad, say your joke.
Oh, thank you. So yes, the joke is, the hardest part was like not having a back button. Like when you would delete something accidentally and having to redo it and find the right stone or something was the hardest part for me, at least.
And I think when we worked together, like a lot of the students would come in and delete like an NPC or something. It was like, oh God, I broke it. I think the first time the students kind of came in and like some of us were working on developing, it was like, I don't want to touch anything because I pushed a button and it broke, right? And it was like really learning. And as computer scientists, I was like, you guys, it's just like coding. Like you have to have thick skin and be like, okay, I broke it, but I can fix it. It's all fixable. So like getting beyond the like, I'm in a China shop and working on it and being like, oh, no, I got this, but getting past that, those nerves. This is like agile development process is what we did. Like, this is what you say when you're like, we just figured it out as we went along and made changes as we were going. We agilely developed our game, but it came out, well, I actually think the fact that we didn't have a whole lot of plans in place made it that much better because we kind of added everyone's input as we went on. It was really nice. It was like everybody was like, okay, let's do it. Like, let's try it. We'll put it in there. Yeah. And you might start down one way and be like, well, this would be even better if it's that. I remember Erica one time was like, yeah, I'm changing the script. I got this. Like, I know what to say. Exactly.
Nope. I did not have any Minecraft experience. I don't think any of us really had any Minecraft experience. I know my experience was dealing with design games. So when I was thinking about Minecraft, I was like, okay, maybe it's the same as some of the games I played before. And it was so different, but this is a skill that I want to keep building. And we actually hope to continue this project and continue to build out Spelman. So we'll all be progressing our Minecraft skills and abilities through working on this project.
I would say personally, I did know a little bit about it because when I was younger, I would watch my brother play the game, and the soundtrack was that soundtrack back in the day, you know? And so I did play the game a little bit back in the day, but it's been a long time. So it's definitely like a relearning of the game.
I just really enjoyed listening to the soundtrack of the game. I muted mine immediately, but she was like, it's so soothing. I actually brought my children in the room a couple of times to be like, okay, what buttons do I click to do things early on? And my son is about to be 17, so that's how much time has gone by since he's built anything in Minecraft. But he came in handy.
Yes, okay, so what I'm doing for the summer is that I'm going to be conducting research with Dr. Nias, and we're going to be focusing on artificial intelligence and machine learning and basically creating something very similar to Minecraft, maybe not as advanced, but just for the Army, so whenever they make decisions, they'll be able to see them play out in real time based on the game that we develop. And then after Spelman, I'm very interested in cybersecurity or anything where I get to be creative, whether that's like graphic design, web design, or even user experience. I'm all about making something that people will love to use and it's easy for people to use, especially as technology is becoming one of our main sources of just how we communicate and how we all connect, and I just want to make that experience easier for people.
After this challenge, for the summer, I have plans to work at Accenture as a summer analyst. I'm very excited about my role. This is my second internship throughout college, so I'm very excited to keep maintaining that. I keep, doing different jobs in the career field I hope to go into. I'm very excited to hopefully get back onto Spelman's campus in a not virtual setting this fall as a junior and really be around the sisterhood that I miss so very much. Post-graduation, obviously I don't have any finalized plans, but as of right now, I'm thinking I want to go into consulting, and we'll see what the future holds for me. I'm very excited about it.
So yes, this summer I will be interning at Fortress Investment Group in New York, so I'm very excited for that. And in the upcoming semester, I will be coming back to Spelman, back to the sisterhood as an RA. So I'm also second time being I'll be coming back to Spelman in the fall as a second term, RA this semester, and I'm very excited for that. As for my future plans within the industry, this is my first internship, so I will see the banking side. I've been able to be introduced to people who have internships at the NFL or at Vogue, and seeing how that realm can also be incorporated with tech. I hope to find a field where I can involve my computer science degree in an industry that's more, has a more diverse group of people that I can introduce myself and grow with in the years to come.
So this summer, I'm going to be participating in the Facebook University Engineering Program, where I'll be learning Android development. And I'm really excited for that because it's going to be my first internship. So I'm really excited to see what it's like to work at a big tech company. And I'm also looking forward to going back to campus in the fall. I'm looking forward to reconnecting with my sisters and hopefully take in-person classes because I'm personally very tired of the virtual learning environment. But yeah, and post-graduation, I hope to work in human computer interaction. I want to work in a job that's user focused, since I believe that a lot of tech companies don't really need to focus more on their users and really take into account all the different barriers and different accessibility components that comes with working with different users and building for different types of people. And yeah, so I'm like messing up. So I hope to work in hopefully UX design or something that combines UX engineering and design.
The students are so excited to get back on campus that they forgot to mention that they also hope to continue this project. Using my, you were gonna say it? Did I cut you off?
No, I was thinking, should I say mine again? Because I did not say I was excited to go back to campus.
No,
you're
fine. Excited to go back to campus.
I could say something about like what I'm doing, and then I can say like we're all hoping to continue this project.
Hello, how are you doing today? My name is Kyle Jacobs, and I'm a senior at the Virginia State University, and I'm from Richmond, Virginia, and my major is agriculture.
Good afternoon. My name is Victor Towns. I am a senior political science major from Pasadena, California, and I also attend Virginia State University. So within this competition, being able to represent Virginia State University, it's truly an honor. I know it's like that for the both of us. This competition, it really has pushed our creative abilities and our ability to really work together to produce something that is going to be used by a lot of people. Kyle and I are very value-based people. That's why we work so well as a team. So like we didn't even really look at this as a competition. We looked at it more as just kind of like a humanitarian kind of problem-solving issue. And we saw, that education was something that it was the focus of this, and being as though we interact a lot with our community, so we see the importance of education. We knew that this was something that we really wanted to put all of our attention, all of our focus into. So it's been great being a part of the competition.
So participating in this challenge was a life-changing experience. Having a chance to represent Virginia State University on a national stage, it's truly an honor because I get to showcase some of the skills and some of the products that I've been working on from the school. The Minecraft challenge itself is unique in its own way because it, helps us showcase our talent for coding and our passion for creativity, which is something that a lot of HBCUs kind of get overlooked for. So in participating in the challenge, me and Victor had a chance to show that HBCU students can be creative, we can be innovative, and we have the skills required to get the job done. So it was truly an honor to be able to participate in this, and I can't wait to participate next year or to continue to do other challenges as well. Well, I think it's important to incorporate gamification because, when you're young, a video game is one of the first things that you interact with. And, a lot of kids nowadays pick up on gaming skills kind of fast. I know I have a nephew that plays Minecraft, and he can tell you how to build every single thing in Minecraft and different things like that. But, it's kind of harder for him to learn math or to learn how to read. So gamification just makes it easier to connect with students. And if they can understand the true potential of playing games like Minecraft, or if there were more games tailored towards, educational purposes, I think that we could, increase the learning curve or, shade the learning curve. So I think using games to connect with kids is a perfect way to boost education, not only at HBCUs, but all across the board. Oh, yes, I would love to see more challenges like this in my school in the future. I think we have a lot of creative people at Virginia State University. And I think we have a lot of people, a lot of, coding skills and different abilities. So, every single class that comes into Virginia State can add something different to each game. And, while we're creating the game, while we're doing things, we're learning as well, because we have to learn how to think from, a child's perspective or a team's perspective to understand, like, what type of games we create to, get them fully involved and have them interacting with the game itself and actually learn. So I think there should be a lot more challenges. So not only can the HBCU students get exposure, but young kids get new and updated ways to learn, and they can they can just find us innovative ways to learn. So yes, I think there should be more challenges like this at HBCUs in our school.
Yeah, I definitely agree 100% with what Kyle said. I think it's that perspective, kind of getting outside of learning from a conventional classroom setting that really pushes the creativity and really the character and overall growth of all students. Virginia State University, in all HBCUs, really, a competition like this is really, really important because, Kyle and I are two college students. We played Minecraft when we were a lot younger, but, now being in this space, we have to get back in that mindset of being, young kids being students. So for example, we use Steve for our level design, because he's easily recognizable in being attributed with Minecraft. He's literally the main character. So, we had at first considered using like Virginia Hall or our football field, but those are things, like I said, that are attributed with Virginia State, not necessarily Minecraft and being a student and being a kid. So, the relatability of what we're really trying to do, I think that's really great. And it's because of this competition that we were able to think outside of the box like that. It pushed us to do that. So more opportunities like that would be so monumental and so beneficial to so many students everywhere.
I actually heard that there's scholarships for esports nowadays. So I think that, hopefully we can incorporate that into, actual sport at the school. I think esports is going to be big in colleges and HBCUs all together. It's going to bring a whole new career field as well, because I know a lot of people that learn better through games, and a lot of people that play games, but they all their life they've been told, like, oh, you can stop playing games, you can do some real work. So I think it'll just open up a whole new door to different talents. It'll bring a whole new way that students can get scholarships at HBCUs, and we can take some of the attention, not necessarily away from sports, but we'll have another sport where our mind could be being used to shine some light on our intellect at HBCUs.
Right. Yeah. The innovations behind esports and all the things that we can do with esports, like the possibilities are astronomical, truly. Just for people that might be in terminal care, or people that might be unable to walk. Being in esports and being able to be in the digital space, you can give people a sense of freedom that they might not have had before. So esports in and of itself, we talk about the possible education and entertainment aspects, but really the life and human aspects are really important too, because it's like you're able to create an entire reality for someone who might not have it. So esports, to me, I think in the next 5 years, it's going to be incredible. And I hope that, Kyle and I can be on the forefront of it, really getting people on the right path with it.
In our PhD programs, hopefully.
Right.
Honestly, we wanted to go into a challenge with the open mind. So we didn't have a strategy at first. But our main goal and our main focus was making sure that we created a game that kids would actually be interested in, and trying to find an interesting way to attract people to apply to Virginia State, because Virginia State is a great university. So we didn't go in with a game plan, but the turnout ended up being pretty good. So we didn't have a game plan at first.
Yeah, so piggybacking off of what Kyle said, yeah, at first, like when we first got it and we first opened it up, we were like, okay, what do we do? And so we really sat down, and it was really through like kind of playing around with all the different settings and just playing around with the world that we really had this thought, like as I said before, we want it to be focused for the students. You know, just as students get lost in the worlds that they create in Minecraft, we really wanted them to get lost in the worlds of education through our game. So, you know, like we made this multi-layered game that, you know, it has secrets and hints. We didn't want the student to be able to find all the hints and all the, you know, little intricacies on the first run through. We really want it to be kind of formulated to, okay, like this is the path, you're going to use this tool to get to here, you know, and then you make it to the end. But once you do it on the second run through, that's really where the student can make choices about what they want to do based on the hidden hints and, you know, all the hidden paths that they're able to take. And so, you know, we kind of built a strategy as we went along. But, you know, as we built on top of the things we were doing, we were thinking, you know, like you could do this with any subject, you know, like you could have it with math, with English, with science, you know, but we thought, okay, like we have to start with Virginia State University. So for example, you know, Virginia State University was founded in 1882. So at a fork in the path, the question in the maze would be like the year VSU was founded minus 82, and then there'd be a choice for 1800 or a choice for 1700. So, you know, just things like that where we can input VSU history while also getting the student to interact. You know, it kind of bridges their world of, okay, I'm playing a game, this is Minecraft, with, okay, I'm also learning something about this school. So that's kind of how we went about it. So I'll say Kyle definitely touched on like the academic and personal side, which is definitely there, and it's definitely important. So for me, it was really the interpersonal kind of the social, the feeling of being on Virginia State University's campus. You know, being able to interact and meet with people that want to see you succeed and people that want to really work with you to reach the highest of heights. It's been monumental in my personal growth. You know, like I'll just share a tiny little tangent. So at first, I actually didn't intend on going to an HBCU. You know, I had kind of considered that my success would be limited because if I got into the corporate world or something, people would kind of view me as, oh, okay, he came from an HBCU, you know, and it'd be, you know, somewhat frowned upon. But, you know, actually being at Virginia State University, being on that campus, understanding that, you know, the feelings that you have on that campus are unlike any experience that you'll have anywhere else in the world, you know. And like I said before, being able to meet people like Kyle, being able to meet, you know, all these mentors and all these people that want to see you succeed and will throw opportunities that you wouldn't normally see if you had attended any other university, you know, it's been absolutely incredible and essential for my growth. So you know, Virginia State University will always have my heart, just because of all the opportunities and experiences that it's afforded me. And it's something that, you know, whenever I talk to people now, I'm like, yeah, come on to VSU, like, come on, come to our school, you know. You know, it's been, you know, just for example, you know, this Minecraft competition. You know, I feel like if I had gone anywhere else, I wouldn't have even known about this competition. I wouldn't know that it existed. I wouldn't be able to participate in it, you know, but because I'm here in this space, you know, I'm able to do things like this and have these conversations and really open up about, you know, how great it is to go to an HBCU, you know. So it's been incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, to kind of hop on, I mean, we definitely want to thank Microsoft and Minecraft for being to allow us to do this competition, because this gets the exposure. We get exposure that we actually need, because, you know, me and Victor plan on applying to some extremely competitive graduate schools such as Harvard, you know, Duke, UC Davis, UC Berkeley, and a few other places. We need a way to kind of like showcase our talent and what we're able to do to be able to make it to the next phase and into those schools. So we just greatly appreciate Minecraft and Microsoft for even creating this challenge. And then, like he was saying before, the DC school system, it's great. You know, it has some issues, but you know, I think we use a lot of traditional teaching methods, and the Minecraft challenge and, you know, gamification are going to be the key to unlocking the next generation's potential. So we are really, really excited to participate in the challenge. Anything that we can do in the future to help out or consult to do anything, just let us know, and we'll definitely be there. But we're just really excited to even be able to participate in this and to create a game that kids in the DC school system can use, or anybody can use to learn anything. So.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Virginia State to me was the best choice because I knew that I wanted to do something that was going to make an impact in the world. And Virginia State has an amazing agricultural program. So it's a land-grant university, so they're primarily based in engineering and agriculture. I just knew that I could come here and make a real impact. The opportunities that not only Virginia State but the Thurgood Marshall College Fund has offered me has been limitless. The school has allowed me to go to the Future Leaders in Agricultural Conference. The school has also sent me to study abroad in Brazil, and having access to competitions like the Minecraft Challenge and different things like this. So Virginia State has provided unlimited opportunities for me to be able to not only showcase and develop my talent and skills, but just to have access to valuable research as well. So Virginia State University really has helped me grow as a person too. I transferred to a different school. And it just wasn't for me, and I transferred back, and just Virginia State's always going to be my home. So that's primarily why I chose Virginia State. And in the game, we decided to highlight different facts about the schools. Agricultural facts, because the school primarily focused on agriculture. But we made a green field around Steve to show that different like grass fields and stuff like that. We didn't get a chance to fully develop it because then we would have put farms and different things. But that's where the inspiration came from, mostly for the agricultural department. Actually, while I was participating in this challenge, I found out that I also won another challenge as well. So I won the Kroger Zero Hunger, Zero Waste Challenge. They gave me a $10,000 scholarship and a MacBook, but they're also working with us on a research development budget of $120,000. So we actually get to bring my idea to life through the Kroger Foundation, which was artificial intelligence service for small farmers to try to increase agricultural production. I'm also in an internship with University of Illinois in this internship called AI Farms. We are finding unique ways to integrate artificial intelligence into agricultural practices. My specific research area is going to be working with small, low-cost artificial intelligence bots. And I'm also doing a data science internship called Data Science for Public Good with the University of Virginia. Me and Victor are also applying for PhD programs starting this fall. And then we're also going on a semester at sea trip. We'll go to 14 different countries. We start off in Japan and we end in Germany. But hopefully in the fall we can apply to graduate programs and PhD programs, and hopefully we can get acceptance letters while we're on our semester at sea program. But the next step is actually trying to find ways that we can continue to participate in challenges like this, or even create challenges like these, and just continue to work on that throughout the PhD programs that we apply to, because we do plan on using our experience with the Microsoft Minecraft Challenge in some of our research that we plan on proposing. I personally want to go into artificial intelligence policy. So that's what I plan on doing, and then hopefully in the long run get into a career within global sustainability.
Every time we talk, I'm blown away by this guy. Seriously, like there's so much that he does, and he's a constant worker. He just is always grinding away, always trying to help people. It's amazing and inspiring to watch him work. So for me, immediately, I'm actually in an internship with JP Chase with their global finance and business management industry, and I'm working with their tech finance team. So I'm working a lot with global policy, and it's kind of like a focus on artificial intelligence within that. As they run their simulations and they develop into other countries and other markets. So that has been like my mini focus for right now. But in the long term, like Kyle said, we're going on semester at sea. We're working on PhD programs. So my specific focus, we both really been on the artificial intelligence with global sustainability, but my specific focus is on the ethics of artificial intelligence. Being a political science major, I've gotten to see how a lot of laws and a lot of policies are in place, but very rarely do we think about, the theory and the ethics behind it. So, artificial intelligence is on the rise. So I want to make sure that I'm on the forefront that whatever artificial intelligence practices are being used are ethical, and they're not harming to people's individual privacies or their own personal ethics. So that's really been a big focus of mine. I'm like a philosophy nerd, so I thought that it'd be really interesting to bridge the future, with philosophical concepts. So that's how I get, artificial intelligence ethics. But yeah, definitely, I want to pursue a PhD in that field. It's something that I've always thought about for a very long time, and I know that with it, like we said, global sustainability is a really big thing. And with these innovations from artificial intelligence, we feel that we can really ramp up production in helping people, whether it be overseas or within our own country. So yeah, we've got a lot planned. We're actually going to a lot of competitions this year, Kyle and I. Always working, always networking, just trying to find new opportunities, new networks for us to interact with, just so that we can get all the resources that are possible and available for us to help other people. Because like I said, we're value-based people, so that's our main goal, is to help others. So yeah.
So my name is Patrick Downton. I just graduated from Tuskegee University, and I am from Blue Springs, Missouri.
Hello, my name is Chauvin Blanchard. I go to Tuskegee University. I'm graduating this December. I'm from Haiti, but I live in Miami.
My name is Justin Finkley. I also just graduated from Tuskegee University, and I'm from Tuskegee, Alabama. So, competing in this challenge was a great opportunity to display the teamwork and the pride in Tuskegee and HBCUs in general that our school has, because we were able to, brainstorm and come up with an idea to showcase to K through 12 about, wanting to explore the HBCU experience. Even though the challenge was only to make a Minecraft version of our yard, we hope that there was enough information and enough exploration that it piques their interest, so that when they apply in 10 years they remember, wasn't that a Minecraft version of the world? Let's apply there.
Yeah, I agree with his answer. Also, for me, the challenge in here, if that was the question, was really getting it so that, because I play Minecraft fairly often, so being able to participate in a challenge that was Minecraft focused was actually very exciting for me, and being able to represent my school in this made me feel like we would give our everybody who goes to our school better opportunities in the future for what they can get access to. So I like preparing, I guess, the fellow Tuskegee students for the future, and so anything that I can do to help them out is really good in my book.
Yeah, it's the same too. It's always good to represent our school. and set the path for the future.
Oh, okay. So this is something that I've been thinking about for a while. Games these days, games are really coming up in their ability to teach, actually. So I mean, this opportunity was a perfect example to showcase how games can instruct and teach, because I've always been focused on trying to get games that teach people how to do things in real life. I mean, of course, this game was a little step, different. We were teaching Minecraft, or at least a thing in Minecraft, but because of how games are structured, they're meant to capture the attention of youth and people who like to play games. And so using that in an educational environment just seems like an optimal form of teaching, because they would like to play the game, you would like to teach them, and so merging the two and using a game just seems like the perfect idea.
Yeah, to add some more into what he just said, gaming bring out creativity in people and the way thinking, because you need to bring solution, because most game is that problem you have to solve. You have to find out how do I win this game? It's bring out motivation, creativity, thinking, problem solving. Games can bring out a lot, especially me as a when I was young, I was always playing on my phone. I was in Haiti, so I always stealing people's phone. By stealing, I mean like my parents like take the phone high just to play games, and this bring out creativity. Like sometimes, let's say you can play like you playing a game, you need to find that what is the different way to win that game. You cannot play like right now. You play, you lose. You play again, you lose. Now you have to think, okay, what are different way I can play? What are different move I can make to win this game? And it's the same thing with learning. It's like what different way can I try to learn that thing faster? Or if I can't learn this thing, I cannot remember this. What are some creativity way I can think to remember this thing, to learn it, to memorize it? I think games can help people with that. So that's why we should like into the school system.
I would concur with the first two responses. I would just basically say the same thing, different words, because the process or the thinking process behind playing a game is different than what most people bring to learning. Because in a game, if you fail once, you don't give up. You just keep playing. People will play the same level 50 times to beat it, and they'll stay there all day. Whereas if it was a math problem or some homework, if they couldn't figure it out on the first try, then they just give up and go do something else. So it builds resilience in the person to find a new solution to a problem. So especially if it's a hard problem, like if you beat a hard level on, I don't know, any game, right? Candy Crush is a very simple example. Like there's some levels that are ridiculously difficult, but people sit there all day and try to figure out how to play it. So that could be a very useful way of teaching difficult concepts in education. I remember, I don't know if it still exists, but when I was in 5th grade, there was a program called First in Math, which basically gamified learning fractions. And so people didn't really care that they were learning about fractions. They were just trying to beat the high score in the game. Actually turned into a whole competition between 4th and 5th grade. It was very effective at what it was trying to do. And so you can kind of trick them into learning. It's kind of like a V8, but for information. I guess I can take this one first. I would say that esports in education in the next 5 years, it'll definitely be seen as more normative than as the exception, because more and more high schools, I'm not sure about middle schools, but definitely more and more high schools are including esports as a team sport, just like they have football and soccer. Obviously physical activity is important, but as it becomes more and more the norm for students, they'll be able to open up their minds to pursuing computer science or a related field as a career path, as opposed to just a game. So as it becomes more tightly integrated with existing curriculum, I think it'll make students more excited to go to school or log in from home, whatever it looks like in 5 years.
In light of it being, our previous year and a half of our situation, in light of all the tragedy that it has caused, it has also brought forth the spotlight onto the esports, because esports is a thing that can be done like from anywhere. I mean, of course, you'd rather get everybody together, but in situations like this where you might not have the opportunity to gather, you can still participate. So it's a way of bringing people together in ways, even in situations that, they might not be able to interact together. You can still bring them together via esports, because it is a way that you can wirelessly communicate, just be in contact with each other. So that's one thing that I really think esports has going for it, that'll keep it going for a little bit, for a long time.
I'm not sure if Jovan was going to say anything, but I'll just add one more thing. Even if there's not a pandemic, hopefully there's not a pandemic in the next 5 years, another one, it'll still have, it's more accessible than regular sports. So I'm thinking about differently able persons that, they can't strap on whatever uniform or run up and down the court, but they can still participate in whatever their abilities are. I know Xbox has the adaptive controller for people with that aren't able to use a regular controller. So I think it'll definitely spread more and more to those communities to be able to teach them things in ways that is more accessible than traditional sports, and so it'll definitely have a positive impact on the differently able community. And as virtual reality and augmented reality, as those technologies get better and cheaper, they'll be able to be implemented in school systems across the country. And so you might not have to take a field trip if you just strap on the VR headset and go to the zoo, which has a wide range of applications.
For me personally, at least on our campus, esports doesn't have as big of a presence as we would like. And that's due to things like our campus or our school not being as focused on our department as other departments, but that's neither here nor there. Schools have their own specialties. So mainly, I think what I'd like to see in esports is, besides growth, I'd like to see an expansion in the I guess in the facets that they incorporate esports into, because it's not just pertaining to computer science or anything like that. You can apply esports into any industry, because you can simulate any industry. So you can make anything into a competition. And competition, what is that saying? What is it? Something like competition breeds greatness, or like something like that. You know what I'm saying? There's like Coke and Pepsi. You can't really succeed if you don't have a competition, something like that. So
I think you mean like you bring passion.
Yeah, so we just don't have anything to compare with, right? So we don't have anything to compete with, but we can. In every single industry, we can use esports to compete somehow, and that will actually I believe it will bring out the best in students on campus, both in HBCUs and in PWIs and in any educational industry or any educational field, really.
So the primary benefit of esports from HBCUs would be, greater exposure for the students to different modalities of learning, right? But then the secondary benefit would be the necessary upgrade to internet infrastructure on campus to be able to facilitate esports, because unless you're having everything in a single room with Ethernet connecting to all the computers, you have to have pretty almost fiber optic internet speeds to be able to have esports competitively. So the secondary benefit would be just the overall overhauling and improvement of the infrastructure as far as networking is concerned on HBCU campuses. And then, like Patrick was saying, it's applicable in almost every field. some research that I was doing when I was in undergrad. I was working with a physics professor on, it didn't work out for other reasons, but was using VR to teach a physics lab. So that's not exactly a game in the traditional sense, but it definitely could be gamified and used to enrich the learning experience.
And just to add a little bit to what they say, I think it can bring out the number of people that actually apply to the school, because that's something new. You have something new to offer. You have something new that the youth is looking for. Because as of now, esports is big. More people are playing esports. Like, so there are people that love sports, but that are not good physically or good with sport, like with the actual ball. Like some people, let's say, like some people love football or basketball, but they can't play. But they're really good at playing the e-version. And these people, if you know you have that program in the school, they're more likely to apply to that school. And that's more students you're gonna have. That's more money for the school. That, like you're saying, you can bring it for infrastructure. It can be like, it would be beneficial for the school, and then you will be up to date too. Because more people are playing sport right now. That's what people are doing, and that's a way to bring more people into the school. I would say, like, get more attention to the school.
So this summer I'll be working on some policy revision with a government agency that I prefer not to name, and then also some machine learning, natural language processing on scientific papers in different metal alloys. Also can't say much more than that, but after that I start the master's program in the fall at Tuskegee, because it's paid for. Thank you, Congress people who approved this program. Really appreciate not having to pay for it. And then after the master's program, more work for the federal government. I think you're seeing the theme here. And then after that, I'll probably end up in private sector, unless there's a compelling reason otherwise. But basically, government work for the summer, master's program for the next 2 years, and then more government work.
Okay, so for me, mainly it's looking for some internships or jobs that I can do in software development, hopefully leading towards game development. But in the meantime, I am in the process of developing my own game, some mobile application that will help students, or it will help people learn how to read sheet music, because I'm also a fairly musically inclined individual. And so my plans are really just to get into the industry and hopefully use my talents and my abilities and all my ideas to eventually start up my own games, maybe my own game company if I'm so lucky enough. But mainly just to get into the gaming industry so that I can help push my ideas of more, I guess, learning focused games, at least my stimulating games that aren't just point and shoot. Of course, those are also really interesting games in the way that they impact people, but my ideal is to get into where I can change the way that games are seen by society, so that they're not just seen as an escape, but also as a way of learning, like this whole process has been about.
For me, I was fortunate enough to have an IT internship with Procter & Gamble. So as of now, I'm out in North Carolina, and I'm enjoying that. And for the fall, that's going to be my last semester as an undergrad. I'm graduating this December, but I don't know for the future. I don't know if I'm going to grad school or get a full-time job. I'm debating, but if I go to grad school, that would be either for cybersecurity or AI. Like, artificial intelligence is the next big thing. I think that would be great for anybody to do. With artificial intelligence, it's like, it's literally the world. You can do the world with it. There's so many different paths you can take with it. So that's where I'm leading. That's the two things I'm really interested in right now, cybersecurity or AI. But like I said, I don't know yet if I'm gonna go to grad school or get a full-time job, but I'm just enjoying the internship right now.
Hi everyone, Renata Ruiz here, Modern Workplace Specialist at Microsoft Education. It has been an absolute pleasure to work on this Minecraft Education Edition hackathon and interview the makers of these 3 games. They are an inspiration, and we were completely blown away by what the students built in such a short period of time. We hope that this is just the beginning for what future builders create in Minecraft Education Edition. Thank you to all of the participants for their time, their dedication, their skills, and creativity. Thank you for representing your schools and showing us what makes it special to you, especially during finals. As a former educator and a mom of 2 little gamers, I've seen firsthand the importance of representation and of giving kids choice and voice. While Minecraft Education Edition is not a typical esports title, it is a familiar environment for students that is especially designed for gamifying learning. But what makes it unique is an opportunity for creative thinking. Minecraft invites players to design, build, and code their own game experiences, giving players choice and voice. Players move swiftly from being consumers of games to creators of games, as we saw unfold in this hackathon. It's a perfect and fun space for sharpening high-level, creative, critical, and computational thinking that is demanded in 21st century workplaces. The possibilities of what can be designed and built are endless. We started with the HBCUs yards, but the true goal was to spark interest in what to build next and share with students across the country. And of course, we want the younger students to be ready to participate in esports on a collegiate level. Hopefully at an HBCU that we showcased today. Thank you again to all of the hackathon participants, to the Ed Games Expo, the Serious Games and Initiative, and all who worked on this remarkable event. Keep building.
Okie dokie. Yeah, yep. Okay. Thank you again for joining us, and thank you for bearing with us on our technical difficulties. I was apparently muted. That's technology for you, but it was a brilliant speech that you just missed. Mostly, I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for the Department of Education for having us be part of the Ed Games Expo. Thank you to Johnson C. Smith University for their leadership in this event, and to the technical assistance of Microsoft, community, and the White House Initiative on HBCUs. This is not the end of a conversation. This is an opportunity to start more conversations. I would encourage you to look forward to connecting with our speakers, to look forward to connecting with other HBCUs at the National HBCU Week Conference hosted by the White House Initiative of HBCUs in the fall. And also, if you would like to continue the conversation around esports, education, and its impact on our globe and the world today, I would encourage you to connect with me directly at the Wilson Center Serious Games Initiative. Our website is wilsoncenter.org, and I'm easily Googleable, and you can catch me on Twitter at enoob. Thank you again so much for everybody for joining us, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend.